Oh, shucks. Lisa, hey girl, hey. Girl, you watch my MerKaBa videos I sent you? Girl, ooh, I got to tell you. Hold on. Pull this up. Forgot my little today. So I'm looking for a today. Okay. Copy peaceful greetings, Uncle Nathaniel. Christy, hey girl, hey. Hello, yeah. Audrey, shalom. Look, Audrey, I'm not sure if you saw it, but I just I saw your email yesterday. I'm like, oh my gosh, she sent this a week ago. I'm glad I decided to scroll through my stuff and see that I missed one, because I did. I missed yours. When you get a chance, if you ain't seen it already, girl, go on back and look at my response. Hold on, y'all. Let me put this up here. I'll put the document up here, too. C.I.A. documents. Robert Betwabu. All right, so I got the documents on Facebook. All right, and I got them on YouTube. Okay. Tiffany, grace and peace. You hate you've been missing the class? Hey, it's always recorded, Christy. It's always recorded. It's always recorded. For as long as they'll let us record and act a fool up here. Okay, y'all. Hold on. Part 4. All right, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. Okay. Happy Saturday, everybody. It is Saturday, January the 15th, 2022. Day number 5 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets and of the 3-year consecutive day count. Day 1023. I went backwards. Hold on. 1023. And today we're going to be reading a little bit more of the C.I.A. document. So the title will be C.I.A. Part 4. Yes, Robert James told me last night about the 29th. Yes, he did. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this up real quick. This is the Shema, which is found in Deuteronomy. Y'all know by now, chapter 6. Y'all, I so wish we grew up learning and having a proper understanding of why a lot of these stories were created. But anywho, a call for wholehearted commitment. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that Yahuwah your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy, and you and your children and your grandchildren must fear Yahuwah your God as long as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as Yahuwah, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, he is one God. And you must love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Then Yahuwah your God will soon bring you into the land he swore to give to you when he made a vow to your ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods that you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget Yahuwah, who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear Yahuwah your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must only use his name. You must not worship the gods of neighboring nations, for Yahuwah your God who lives among you is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test Yahuwah your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of Yahuwah your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in Yahuwah's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that Yahuwah swore to give to your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies living in the land, just as Yahuwah said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that Yahuwah our God has commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but Yahuwah brought us out of Egypt with his strong hand. Yahuwah did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt and Pharaoh and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he has sworn to give to our ancestors. And Yahuwah our God commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear him so that he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives as he has done to this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands that Yahuwah our God has given unto us. All right, beautiful people. Trina, hey, girl, hey. Okay. All right, y'all. Genesis chapter 15. I'm reading from the NLT version. Abram and Lot separate. So Abram left Egypt and traveled north into the Negev along with his wife and Lot and all they owned. Abram was very rich on livestock, silver and gold. From the Negev, they continued traveling by stages toward Bethel, and they pitched their tents between Bethel and Ai, where they had camped before. This was the same place where Abram had built the altar, and there he worshipped the Lord again. Lot, who was traveling with Abram, had also become very wealthy with flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, and many tents. But the land could not support both Abram and Lot with all their flocks and herds living so close together. So disputes broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At that time, Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land. Finally, Abram said to Lot, let's not allow this conflict to come between us or our herdsmen. After all, we are close relatives. The whole countryside is open to you. Take your choice of any section of the land you want, and we will separate. If you want the land to the left, then I'll take the land on the right. If you prefer the land on the right, then I'll go to the left. Lot took a long look at the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley in the direction of Zoar. The whole area was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord or the beautiful land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot chose for himself the whole Jordan Valley to the east of them. He went there with his flocks and servants and parted company with his uncle Abram. So Abram settled in the land of Canaan, and Lot moved his tents to a place near Sodom and settled among the cities of the plain. But the people of this area were extremely wicked and constantly sinned against the Lord. After Lot had gone, the Lord said to Abram, look as far as you can see in every direction, north and south, east and west. I am giving all this land as far as you can see to you and to your descendants as a permanent possession. And I will give you so many descendants that, like the dust of the earth, they cannot be counted. Go and walk through the land in every direction, for I am giving it to you. So Abram moved his camp to Hebron, and he settled near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. There he built another altar to the Lord. Abram rescues Lot. About this time, war broke out in the region. King Amraphel of Babylonia, King Arioch of Elasar, King Chedorlaomer of Elam, and King Tidal of Goim fought against King Bera of Sodom. King Bersha of Gomorrah, King Shinab of Admah, King Shemeber of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, also called Zoar. This second group of kings joined forces in the Siddim Valley, that is, the Valley of the Dead Sea. For 12 years they had been subject to King Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled against him. 1 year later, Chedorlaomer and his allies arrived and defeated the Rephites at Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzites at Ham, the Emites at Shaveh Kirithaim, and the Horites at Mount Seir, as far as El Paran at the edge of the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En Mishpat, now called Kadesh, and conquered all the territory of the Amalekites and also the Amorites living in Hazazon Tamar. Then the rebel kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela, also called Zoar, prepared for battle in the Valley of the Dead Sea. They fought against King Chedorlaomer of Elam, King Tidal of Goim, King Amraphel of Babylonia, and King Arioch of Elazar, 4 kings against 5. As it happened, the Valley of the Dead Sea was filled with tar pits, and as the army of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into the tar pits, while the rest escaped into the mountains. The victorious invaders then plundered Sodom and Gomorrah and headed for home, taking with them all the spoils of war and the food supplies. They also captured Lot, Abraham's nephew, who lived in Sodom, and carried off everything he owned. But one of Lot's men escaped and reported everything to Abram, the Hebrew, who was living near the oak grove belonging to Mamre the Amorite. Mamre and his relatives, Eshcol, Aner, were Abram's allies. When Abram heard that his nephew Lot had been captured, he mobilized the 318 trained men who had been born into his household. Then he pursued Chedorlaomer's army until he caught up with them at Dan. There he divided his men and attacked during the night. Chedorlaomer's army fled, but Abram chased them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. Abram recovered all the goods that had been taken, and he brought back his nephew Lot with his possessions and all the women and other captives. And there is a whole lot of stuff in here about Abraham, well, before his name was changed to Abraham, that he did. And remember, when we was reading through the legends of the Jews, he was also like one of the first ones that was ever to enter into the fiery furnace. Remember the 3 Hebrew boys? They weren't the first ones. That actually happened to Abram and his brother Haran, right? So the whole long story and what led up to it, and his father Terah, everything. Y'all got to go read it if y'all weren't here last time. Mom, Shalom, Shayla, Hagar, hey, Great Rising, Belinda Brown, present and accounted for. Melchizedek blesses Abram. After Abram returned from his victory over Chedorlaomer and all his allies, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is, the king's valley. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem, and the priest of God Most High, bore Abram some bread and wine. Melchizedek blessed Abram with this blessing. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has defeated your enemies for you. Then Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the goods he had received. And if y'all don't know who Melchizedek was, Melchizedek is a title. We got a couple videos on Melchizedek. If you put it in there, you'll find it up there. But Melchizedek, at this time, it was Shem, right? It doesn't tell us that in here. But if you read in the book of Jasher, it tells you exactly who this Melchizedek was. It wasn't JC. It was actually Shem. Shem was still alive. It was Shem. And it's a lot more detail about Shem doing his Melchizedekal reign in Legends of the Jews as well. Matter of fact, it's a whole section on it. You should read it if you weren't here, if you don't have the book. But it's really good. Then Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the goods he had recovered. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give back my people who were captured, but you may keep for yourself all the goods you have recovered." Abram replied to the king of Sodom, "I solemnly swear to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread or sandal thong from what belongs to you. Otherwise, you might say, I am the one who made Abram rich. I will accept only what my young warriors have already eaten, and I request that you give a fair share of the goods to my allies, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Last chapter for today, Genesis chapter 15. The Lord's covenant promise to Abram. Sometime later, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, Do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you, and your reward will be great. But Abram replied, O sovereign Lord, what good are all your blessings when I don't even have a son? Since you have given me no children, Eleazar of Damascus, a servant in my household, will inherit all my wealth. You have given me no descendants of my own, so one of my servants will be my heir. Then the Lord said to him, No, your servant will not be your heir, for you will have a son of your own who will be your heir. Then the Lord took Abram outside and said to him, Look up into the sky and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have. And Abraham believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. Then the Lord told him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land as your possession. But Abram replied, O sovereign Lord, how can I be sure that I actually possess it? The Lord told him, Bring me a 3-year-old heifer and a 3-year female goat and a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So Abram presented all these to him and killed them. Then he cut each animal down the middle and laid the halves side by side. He did not, however, cut the birds in half. Some vultures swooped down to eat the carcasses, but Abram chased them away. As the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a terrifying darkness came down over him. Then the Lord said to Abram, You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land, where they will be oppressed as slaves for 400 years. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and in the end they will come away with great wealth. As for you, you will die in peace and be buried at a ripe old age. After 4 generations, your descendants will return here to this land, for the sins of the Amorites do not yet warrant their destruction. After the sun went down and darkness fell, Abram saw a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch pass between the halves of the carcasses. So the Lord made a covenant with Abram that day and said, I have given this land to your descendants, all the way from the border of Egypt to the great Euphrates River, the land now occupied by the Canaanites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Raphites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgasites, and Jebusites. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. All right, so let me pull up. Our place and time. No, 24. Big Bang to Taurus. Okay, hold on. My little marker going from my book. No, we didn't read 23. I think I stopped at 22. We going to 23. Let me just sip the water. All right, y'all. My mouth is dry. I should have juiced me something. For some reason, my mouth saying I drank the water. It cleared my mouth, but it seems like it makes me thirsty and my mouth drier. Okay. Absolute in perspective. Remember the last thing we talked about was the out-of-body experience. Okay. Absolute in perspective. It may be helpful at this point. Oh, sorry. This is page 17. If you're following along, the document is at the top. Okay, if you don't have it or if you forgot the link. Absolute in perspective. It may be helpful at this point to pause and recap the major aspects of our intellectual journey from time, space, to the realm of the absolute. We have spoken at some length concerning the incredibly complex holograms, which is created by the intersection of energy patterns, generated by the totality of all dimensions of the universe, time, space included. We have noted that our minds constitute energy fields which interact with various aspects of this hologram to deduce information which is ultimately processed through the left hemisphere of our brains to reduce it to a form that we employ for the process we call thinking. We have implied that this hologram is We have implied that this hologram is the finite embodiment and active energy form of the infinite consciousness of the Absolute. It is the title we assign to that vast pool of energy in a state of perfect rest over which the physical universe is layered and from whence it comes. Incidentally, to describe this, Bentov uses the analogy of a very deep sea, comparing the still depths of the sea to the dimension of the Absolute, while assigning the storm-tossed waves above to represent the physical universe with which we are familiar. The slightly agitated currents of the sea to be found in between the turbulent surface and the totally still depths represent energy in the process of either going into rest, i.e. approaching infinity, or coming out of rest. Number 24, from Big Bang to Taurus. Working from the widely accepted Big Bang theory, Bentov presents a conceptual model to depict the process of time-space evolution. Hold on, y'all. Working from the widely accepted Big Bang theory, Bentov presents a conceptual model to depict the process of time-space evolution, the relative position of the universal hologram. That hologram is often called a torus because it is thought to have the overall shape of an immense self-contained spiral. Basing his thesis on recent studies concerning the distribution of quasars, quasi-stellar objects, and operating on the premise that in the universe, smaller processes tend to be mirror images of larger ones, i.e. the pattern of electrons around the nucleus of an atom mirrors the way planets orbit their suns, and so on. Bentov postulates the following scenario. Taking his cue from the observed capability of quasars to eject enormously concentrated beams of matter from their interiors in a controlled, non-concentric version of the Big Bang, he envisages a similar process occurring in the generation of the universe. See Exhibit 4, next page. Okay, I'll show it. This is the spiral for Facebook. I'm showing it in full view for Facebook. That's if you're not able to look at it while we're live. I'm just showing it so you can take a quick gander at it and you can go back and look at it later. Okay. Nothing that those galaxies located to the north of our own galaxy are moving away faster than those located to the south, and that those to the east and west are demonstrably more distant. Bentov regards this as substantive evidence that the jet of matter which expanded into our universe has turned back upon itself, eventually forming an ovoid or egg shape. He sees matter in our universe entering the ovoid pattern following the ejection from a nucleus composed of extremely compressed energy through a white hole. It's funny, I saw this little video yesterday that was kind of explaining this. Oh, I should share it. Maybe I should share it so y'all, because a lot of this probably sounded like blah, 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 blah. Get to a story to help me understand. I'm going to share this. And it's inside a hour-long presentation by, what's his name? I forget. My siblings and my family know the MerKaBa videos that I was watching yesterday. He did a presentation on the secrets of the MerKaBa. Did y'all know King David on his shield, the Star of David? Do y'all know that's actually a MerKaBa? You know what a MerKaBa is? A MerKaBa is a chariot, right? But it's broken down. Mer is the chariot part. Ka is your spirit, and Ba represents your body, right? A MerKaBa. It's a chariot for your spirit and your body to transverse the universe, right? In your dreams, or whether you're astral projecting. Y'all, it's a real thing, right? Because I've been kind of like practicing. I'm like, holy crap, yo, we got to get into this. But within that video where the gentleman, he's kind of going through it, he explains it really good. He's going through it and he shows this little scientific clip. It's like an animated clip. And I think it was Dr. Science. I'd never seen it before, but I thought it was really good. I was like, what is this little anime? It must be like cartoons for like scientific brains and stuff. But it was cute, but it explained what he just said about the compressed matter being shot out a hole and all that rigmarole, right? I'm going to share that video with y'all. When you get a chance throughout the weekend or whatever, watch it. It's gonna, if you haven't been exposed to a few more things that we will be getting into as we go through here, he's going to enlighten you on some things spiritually that it may start making some connections from some things you may have heard while you were in church. Not necessarily regular church, unless somebody they brought from Israel came in, or had somebody Hebrew come in, then you may have heard about this. But in the Hebrew sector or the Jewish congregations, whatever, MerKaBa, everybody should know what a MerKaBa is, or they think they know what a MerKaBa is, right? It's so good, y'all. So I'm gonna share that with y'all. But when I was watching it yesterday, it really kind of clicked. Like, I knew, like, the Star of David and what they said it was and all this stuff. And some people said that wasn't even his, like, sign. Y'all never talked about a Star of David. But they weren't actually talking about, like, his, like, logo or whatever. It actually had to do with the body, which made some other things that I now know is possible that I heard a while ago make sense. Now truly understand about the MerKaBa, and I probably wouldn't have understood the MerKaBa like I did unless I had because I've been reading another book. It's called the Nine Eyes of Light, and it goes into the different it's kind of like a scientific book, not really though, but it's written in a way where somebody who's not a scientific head can like really understand it. But it goes into some of the details of the body and the different types of bodies we have encompassed inside of this body, the fields of energy around us and everything. And it started breaking it down, the different ones, and they're called by different things, like the show, the Ba, the Ka. I'm like, yo, this is interesting. I got to read it slow, and I had to go back and reread it a couple times. But because I had already been reading that, coming upon this, it makes those things make sense, and I like completely understand it. So I share a couple of those references with y'all if y'all interested, and I share a few videos. You can probably Google it or whatever, but I'll show you some animations that I kind of like shared with my family that I thought were pretty cool about the MerKaBa, all right? And even like they even have like a meditation that I will share with you. They have like we were talking about like meditation music and stuff. But they have one that they did with the MerKaBa, and it's like 11 minutes. And I thought it was pretty cool, and it was decent. So I went through channel like, all right, who did this? And, you know, I run through my checks and stuff, and then I decided to check it out. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is a safe one. So I'll share all that with y'all if y'all care, if y'all ready to look at stuff like that. All right. So, but also, if y'all watch C.I.A, if y'all been watching some of his like shorter meditation clips where he's showing you how to do it, because people are like, okay, how do you actually do it? Well, what do you do, C.I.A? But he has like a couple short clips where he goes in and he sits Indian style or whatever of the lotus position. And you may have noticed, I'm not sure if he explained what that was, but in his meditation room, you will see this pyramid that he sits under. That's a lot of people think, okay, well, it's the pyramid. Okay, you have right, but it's representing the MerKaBa, the energy field around us, right? So once I understood it, I immediately, like, Yaki came to me. I was like, yo, because I seen somebody else build one of those type of structures. I'm like, okay, maybe you just want this to feel like your tight, close prayer closet. Okay, I can get with that. But now that I understand what it was doing, I was like, oh, it's representing, it's like giving the physical mind, it's like giving our physical eyes something physical to kind of look at, to attach to the spiritual things. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But what you see, if you watch Yaki's video, and I'll reshare his video too, I'll put Yaki, so you can see what I'm talking about if you haven't, right? But those that don't know, they just think, okay, he just got little stuff to help him. But everything I realized now, and I go back to his video, I'm like, yo, he knows some stuff. He been kind of bringing it out, but he just kind of puts it there, and he'll just operate within. I'm like, yo, I like that. So, but you kind of see half of the MerKaBa, because a MerKaBa is like a double tetrahedron, right? And that's what the pyramids, when they created the pyramids, that's what it was. You may have heard me say before that the pyramids were actually ascension chambers. They are. It was a representation, a physical structure that they created where those who they were teaching about it, they actually walked in it, and it was like this whole scientific thing to show them what happens with our body. Even the Sphinx and stuff. Oh, we've been taught so wrong about what the Sphinx is and what it was. And we're gonna get into that. Even some of the like the serpent that coils up the arm of the Sphinx, all that represents everything that they built. It was like a bigger representation. It was like their school, so they could show you, like, okay, come on, class, let's go. Right here, you see this? This is what's in your body. So they were showing on the Sphinx, if you ever look at pictures of it, of like the stairs that go up and the spiraling energies and stuff, and everything that they built on and around the Sphinx, they showed it to you where you had it inside of your own body, right? So the pyramids was another thing like that was representing the MerKaBa. But a MerKaBa, it would be like two. So you can see like a regular pyramid, regular triangle, but then you would take another one, just like the Star David. It's a regular triangle with another triangle the same size over it, but upside down. And the energy forces, they rotate in different ways. So you have one of the triangles rotating clockwise, and the one that's upside down rotating counterclockwise. And then when you connect them, I'm gonna have to show it to y'all. I probably shouldn't. I'll show it to you when you see the video. It'll be the animation. You will better understand it. So when you're looking at some of these things and some of the code words or the hidden words that we read through the scriptures or other manuscripts from other different religions, once you understand what it is, you can see where it is in every religion, right? It's amazing to me. I'm like, this is really blowing my mind right now. So I'm going to share those things with y'all about the MerKaBa. So on your own time, like I said, if you want to learn a little bit more about that, I think it'll be really helpful, especially as we're trying to break the spells off of our life so we can actually understand more spiritual things. It'll really, really be helpful, right? So I'm going to share, I got into all that talking about Dr. Science, a little animation that helps with when they're going from the Big Bang to the Taurus, what they're understanding about this. Okay, let me go back. I digress. Noting that those galaxies located north of our own galaxy are moving way faster than those located to the south, and that those to the east and west are demonstrably more distant, Bentov regards this as substantive evidence that the jet of matter which expanded into our universe has turned back upon itself, eventually forming an ovid or egg shape. He sees matter in our universe entering the ovid pattern following ejection from a nucleus composed of extremely compressed energy through a white hole. At the end of its trip to the far end of the ovid, he sees it departing via a black hole. In such a model, time is observed to be a measure of the change which occurs as energy evolves into new, more complex forms as it progresses along the distance from the white hole side of the nucleus around the shell of this cosmic egg until it enters the black hole. In other words, as energy expelled from infinity and confined within limits by the conscious of the absolute achieves form and motion following ejection from the white hole at the top of the egg, time begins as a measure of the cadence of this evolutionary moment as reality goes around the shell of the egg on its journey to the black hole at the far end. And some things you're just going to have to keep reading over until it clicks, right? Okay. All right. 25. Our place in time. The observed distribution of galaxies suggests that our particular universe is located near the top of the egg at the point where matter begins to fall back upon itself, thus explaining the reason why the galaxies to the north are seen to be moving away more rapidly as they are caught up in the downturn of the stream of matter toward the far end of the cosmic egg. See Exhibit 5, next page. Okay, this is Exhibit 5. Yahuwah is one. Yes, hallelujah. May we all be filled with the great spirit of Yahuwah. Doing Stunts 101, Shalom. Am I mixing science with the Bible? Is that a real question? I know it's a real question. Are you against Christian scientists? I really have no clue what Christian scientists do. I just heard about them. I really haven't taken the time to study them. Am I mixing science with the Bible? Well, who created this earth? We ain't even talking about who created the Bible. That's of none effect. Who created the earth? Was it not a great scientist? That's all I'm saying. But anyway, we're reading the C.I.A. document that proves some things that we experience spiritually, and we just kind of, okay, what's the gifts of the spirit? Science has proven what we've been learning spiritually, but haven't had the words for it, right? And it's proven that these things are really a true thing. I'm a bit of a scientist, if that's what you're asking. And if you think this is a Christian channel, I don't know if you don't know how long you've been here, but we are not that. Okay, I'm going to finish reading. The link is found up here in the top if you want to take a look at what we're reading. All right. Number 27, consciousness and perspective. Having ascertained that human consciousness is able to separate from physical reality and interact with other intelligences in other dimensions within the universe, and that it is both eternal and destined for ultimate return to the absolute, we are faced with the question. So what happens then? Hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I went back to the right place, but on the wrong page. Let's go back. 25, I'm sorry. Our place in time. The observed distribution of galaxies suggests that our particular universe is located near the top of that egg at the point where matter begins to fall back on itself, thus explaining the reason why the galaxies to the north are seen to be moving away more rapidly as they are caught up in the downturn of the stream of matter toward the far end of the cosmic egg. See Exhibit 5. That's what we just looked at. Layered over this cosmic egg is the absolute, which sustains the radiating nucleus from which the original jet of matter issued forth. As the stream of matter moves around the ovoid towards its destination at the black hole, where it will be reabsorbed into the radiating nucleus and then the absolute, it generates the interference pattern within the cosmic egg, which constitutes the universal hologram or Taurus. Since the Taurus is being simultaneously generated by matter in all the various phases of time, it reflects the development of the universe in the past, present and future as it would be seen from our particular perspective in one phase of time. By reflecting on this model, it becomes possible to see how human consciousness, brought to a sufficiently altered, focused state, could obtain information concerning the past, present, and future science. They all exist in the universal hologram simultaneously. In the case of the future, because of all the consequences of the past and present can be seen coming together in the hologram, such that the future can be predicted or seen with total accuracy. Moreover, it is possible to see how the implosion of energy patterns will cross and recross to create an incredibly complex four-dimensional hologram or torus in spiral shape in reflection of the multi-dimensional developing pattern of evolution. All of the movements of the energies which comprise the universe leave their mark and hence tell their story throughout time. Number 26. Quality of consciousness. We noted earlier that the out-of-body state involves projection of a major portion of the energy pattern that represents human consciousness so that it may move either freely throughout the terrestrial sphere for purposes of information acquisition or into other dimensions outside of time-space, perhaps to interact with other forms of consciousness within the universe. Consciousness is the organizing and sustaining principles that provides the impetus and guidance to bring and keep energy in motion within a given set of parameters so that a specific reality will result. When consciousness reaches a state of sophistication in which it can perceive itself, its own hologram, it reaches the point of self-cognition. Human beings have this form of elevated consciousness, as does the absolute, but in case of the latter, it is a function of energy and its associated quality of consciousness in infinity, omniscience, and omnipotent and perceptual unity. When energy returns to a state of total rest within the absolute, it returns to the continuum of consciousness in the pool of limitless, timeless perception that resides there. Thus, the more complex and energy system in the material state, the more consciousness it possesses to maintain its reality. Our consciousness, therefore, is that differentiated aspect of the universal consciousness which resides within the absolute. It accounts for the organization of the energy patterns which constitute our physical body, but is distinctly separate from and superior to it. Since consciousness exists quite apart from the outside of reality, beyond the bounds of time-space, it, like the absolute, has neither beginning nor end, right? And the absolute is referring to the great creator of this universe. Jen, shalom, shalom. Okay. Since consciousness exists quite apart from and outside of reality, beyond the bounds of time-space, it, like the absolute, has neither beginning nor end. Reality has both a beginning and an end because it is bound within time-space, but the fundamental quantum of energy and its associated consciousness is eternal. When reality ends, its constituent energy simply returns to infinity in the absolute, or like you were here in the church, when we go to the grave, our spirit returns to God, right? Or our spirit returns to Yah. Okay, 27. Consciousness and perspective. Having ascertained that human consciousness is able to separate from physical reality and interact with other intelligence and other dimensions within the universe, and that is both eternal and destined for ultimate return to the absolute, we are faced with the question. So what happens then? Since memory is a function of consciousness, and therefore enjoys the same eternal character as the consciousness which accounts for its existence, it must be admitted that when consciousness returns to the absolute, it brings with it all the memories it has accumulated through the experience in reality. The return of consciousness to the absolute does not imply an extinction of the separate entity which the consciousness organized and sustained in reality. Rather, it suggests a differentiated consciousness which merges with and participates in the universal consciousness and infinity of the absolute without losing the separate identity and accumulated self-knowledge which its memories confer upon it. What it does lose is the capability for generation of independent thought holograms, since that can be done only by energy and motion. In other words, it retains the power to perceive, but loses the power of will or choice. In exchange, however, this consciousness participates in the all-knowing, infinite continuum of consciousness, which is a characteristic of energy in the ever-present. Consequently, it is accurate to observe that when a person experiences the out-of-body state, he is, in fact, projecting that eternal spark of consciousness and memory which constitutes the ultimate source of his identity, to let it play in and learn from dimensions both inside and outside the time-space world in which his physical component currently enjoys a short period of reality. All right, y'all, number 28, the gateway method. Having put the gateway experience in context by postulating a structural outline of how and why it seems to work, and having shown what it is designed to achieve, the time has come to examine the specific techniques in which comprise the gateway training process. And just to recap, if you forgot already what the gateway process is, remember this document released from the CIA in the early 2000s is talking about the spiritual gifts, so to speak, what Christians call it, or anybody, believer, whatever, that have these particular gifts about themselves where they can see into the spirit, have open visions. They're actually proving that these things are true. But what they've done, they removed all the religious mumbo jumbo, the religious dogma, all the shouting, tears, and all this holy religious crap, right? And they actually showed you the facts and actually what happens with the body. They understand it so much so, down to a science on how it works, how to get it started, how to operate in it, that they've trained a section in the military to do it. And they shared with you how they've extracted secrets from China, from Russia, how they spy on people, how they still trade secrets. The military doing all of this, right? It was declassified, but they've been doing this stuff since the 50s, right? We just now find out about it. We the latecomers to the party. We the ones ignorant trying to catch up. Okay. 28, I'll start it over again. Gateway method. And this is what it's called, the gateway method. Being able to see into the spirit. They just label it the gateway method. Other people call it out-of-body experiences, astral projecting. The church calls it open visions and seeing into the spirit. But everybody talking about the same doggone thing. Look. And the science world is calling it the gateway method. Gateway method. We're on page 22 of the document, number 28. Gateway method. Having put the gateway experience in context by postulating a structural outline of how and why it seems to work, and having shown what it is designed to achieve, the time has come to examine the specific techniques which comprise the gateway training process. These techniques are designed to enable the user of the gateway tapes. Remember the gateway tapes, they created a whole course for the military, the higher level security clearance military personnel, that they put through this gateway process. And they created the tapes to activate hemisync, the sync both sides of the brain, left side, right side, to be able to bring these cities or these superpowers on a whole lot faster, rather than allowing it to develop naturally and holistically like somebody would on a spiritual path in life seeking y'all, right? Because it'll happen for us the more diligent we become in our prayer and our study time and worship and meditation, it'll begin to unfold. But we'll see the progress over many years of consistent practice and dedication. We'll see that growth. We'll see the progressive growth, to whereas the military and some of the scientists that they use, they got this process and they sped it up. They created a course and they putting people through it, right? But those who come out on the end of it, using it for the nefarious reasons for the military and the government, it ends up screwing them up. And a lot of them commit suicide. They become alcoholics, hooked on drugs, because they don't know how to deal with what they were just dropped into without having like a holistic, a natural path of growth to understand all these things and why they actually happen. And they're not operating from like the love on how you should, because as you understand more, you should get better, and you learn how to operate in love with all kinds of people everywhere. They miss that part, which is why they tend to, their brains some of them literally blow out their brains because it's too much. They haven't gone through the natural process of understanding these things, but through the natural process of prayer and meditation and studying and growing, these things will just naturally unfold for you, which is why people who are older, and not just old in their faith or whatever, but those who've actually been consistent and been put into practice, prayer and meditation, you can tell that the wisdom that they have completely surpasses. You could have two people that's been in a certain religion or a spiritual lane or whatever for 20 years, one who's been consistent and one who's been inconsistent. You can tell who the real deal is, because it would just radiate from their life, how they speak, the wisdom that they have. You can't touch it. You can't touch it. But they found a way to reproduce this artificially and still click on these things in your body and your brain. But the people aren't prepared for all the weight that comes with it when it's done if you don't grow naturally. Kikuyu Muntu. Ki Muntu. Kikuyu Star 87. See me, fam. All right, y'all. Okay, so this is the gateway process. Let's go back. I started over again. Having put the gateway process experience in context by postulating a structural outline of how and why it seems to work, and having shown what it is designed to achieve, the time has come to examine the specific techniques which comprise the gateway training process. These techniques are designed to enable the user of the gateway tapes to manipulate the higher energy states, which can be achieved if the user continues to work with the tapes over a period of time. The amount of time required to reach advanced energy states and to fully exploit the techniques varies with the individual, the sensitivity of his nervous system, his general state of mind, and the extent to which he may have previously developed. The sensitivity of his nervous system, his general state of mind, and the extent to which he may have previously developed facility in related techniques such as transcendental meditation are all pertinent to factors affecting the speed at which he may expect to progress. The gateway process begins by teaching the individual participant to isolate extraneous concerns in a visualization device called the energy conversion box. Next, the participant is introduced to a method of encouraging his mind and body to strive to achieve a state of resonance through utterance of a single tone, a monotonous, protracted humming sound that sets up a feeling of vibration, particularly in the head. And this is what they're changing the terms of what this is, but in the religious factions, church will call it praying in tongues. The Eastern will call it chanting, a sound or a tone, and which it works, but they're just trying to speed up the process, but they're taking you through the same process that we naturally go through and learn about as we grow. They're just taking everything, compressing it together, right? And this is all they doing every day, 24 hours a day. They probably get like a couple hours rest so they can eat or whatever, but they're constantly in this training, going through this, trying to speed up this process of the body, and it will click on, right? Okay. The gateway process begins by teaching the individual participant to isolate extraneous concerns in a visualization device called an energy conversion box. Next, the participant is introduced to a method encouraging his mind and body to strive to achieve a state of resonance through utterance of a single tone, a monotonous, protracted humming sound that sets up a feeling of vibration, particularly in the head. He engages in this resonant tuning, as it is called, by humming along with a chorus of such sounds that are contained on the gateway tape. A lot of times we put on praise and worship to kind of get us there. Hold on, Dana, I missed your comment. Oh, definitely. Look, Dana said, why do you think they declassified this if they're still using this? They have learned something else more powerful and no longer using this. They absolutely are. They absolutely are, which helps me understand. We ain't gonna get into this, but like in our, I'm gonna have to start posting some more stuff in our what is it? The group. I ain't been there in a minute. I'm so bad about it. The group me, right? Yo, now I understand the real reason behind the push behind 5G. Yo, they are doing something that a lot of people are not talking about. I'm like, yo, wait a minute, right? They're trying to. It's almost like this gateway training process. They're actually trying to enact this gate, for lack of better words. To me, it seems like they're trying to push this gateway process on the entire world by speeding up what will naturally unfold, putting up the 5G towers and all these other things. And some people who aren't ready for that frequency, so to speak, it disrupts their bodies, right? They're getting cancer, especially if they weren't. I think the ones who have fared better, I ain't gonna say church folk, but those who are on a spiritual path of becoming better and becoming in tune, we can kind of sense some things, because some of us in our spiritual gifts or things that we're learning about, as we're learning about frequencies and sound waves and how it literally affects our bodies, the water in our bodies, the different tones and sounds. Even if you don't believe it, you know your whole demeanor change with certain type of music. What's going on with that music that you're pumping in your ear is vibration and sound, and it's changing the way the water and the blood or the liquid moves in your body. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. I'm like, holy crap. I'm telling y'all, this get more exciting by the day. Yeah, now that got 5G UV with VZ. Something is going on, Dana. It really is. I got some other stuff I'm gonna share with y'all. I'm talking about the group that we got going on. Okay, but don't get me sidetracked, y'all. Y'all sidetracking me. Hold on. No, I'm joking. Let me go back. I get so excited because I got so much stuff. I got all these notes and stuff, and I'm pulling stuff together. I'm like, oh, when can I share this with them? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I'll be trying to find little points where I can interject a lot of stuff that I'm getting, but I don't want to keep y'all. I don't want to sidetrack y'all, because I'm trying to take y'all like on a holistic path. Jen, exactly. That's what happened, Jen. People calling it, the devil and all this, the concert. Those of us that know what's going on knew what happened at that concert. It was a lot of bodies in there that wasn't ready for those frequencies that was put out at that concert. Yo, it caused the people to go haywire. Oh, we ain't gonna talk about that right now, Jen. Let me go back to reading this. But yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, a lot of people, they're using it on other. That's what everybody know. Our government is corrupt, right? That's what they do. They use things on people, and the people don't know, except for those of us that do. And we try and warn people. Now they got us looking like we nutcases and we conspiracy theorists when they're absolutely doing some of these things. I'm like, man, it would behoove us to figure out what it is that's going on, right? And a lot of times they hide stuff so well in plain sight that we completely miss it altogether, right? So the best way to figure this out is staying on our path holistically, but we really have to learn how to tap into the source of power. We really have to learn how to tap into the creator, tap into Yah, right? So we can get these downloads about what's really going on here, right? So we've been talking about that and how to do it, and we've been practicing it. Those who've been here and actually been doing it, right? So let's go back to this. But yeah, we'll be able to see, and we can adjust as time goes on to protect not just ourselves, but our families and our loved ones and anybody who would care to listen that don't think we completely nuts. Okay. All right, let me finish this. I've been reading this gateway method paragraph forever. Okay. The gateway process begins by teaching the individual participant to isolate extraneous concerns in a visualization device called an energy conversion box. Next, the participant is introduced to a method of encouraging his mind and body to strive to achieve a state of resonance through utterance of a single tone, a monotonous, protracted humming sound that sets up a feeling of vibration, particularly in the head. He engages in this resonant tuning, as it is called, by humming along with a chorus of such sounds that are contained on the gateway tape. Following this, the participant is exposed to the gateway affirmation and is encouraged to repeat it to himself as he hears it repeated on the tape. This affirmation is a statement to the effect that the individual realizes that he is more than merely a physical body and that he deeply desires to expand his consciousness. Number 29, Hemi-sync introduced. Remember, we did a little blurb over the hemi-sync, right? That's the syncing of the left and the right brains. Okay. Hemi-sync introduced. We're on page 22. Page 22, number 29. Hemi-sync introduced. After that, he is exposed for the first time to the hemi-sync sound frequencies and is encouraged to focus on and develop a perception of an appreciation for those feelings which accompany the synchronization of brain waves that results. Next comes the technique of progressive and symmetric physical. Next comes the technique of progressive and systematic physical relaxation, while the hemi-sync frequencies are expanded to include additional forms of pink and white noise designed to put the physical body at the virtual threshold of sleep, as well as to calm the left hemisphere of the mind while raising the right hemisphere to a state of heightened attentiveness. Once all of this is achieved, the participant is invited to envisage creation of an energy balloon comprised of an energy flow beginning at the center of the top of the head and extending down in all directions to the feet. Yo, they making a MerKaBa, my G. Look, we was just talking about this. Look, hold on. Let me go back. Hold on. I got something to tell y'all. Look, wait a minute. Next comes the technique of progressive, systematic, physical relaxation. So this is what they're explaining is that in-between state that you're at. You know how you're waking up from like your REM state of sleep, your deep sleep, and you're waking up, but it's between that sleep and that fully awake state where you're there, but you're like not there. I mean, you're there, but it's like right there. When you get to that state right there, they're trying to get you to that state because it's that state. I know that state right there is powerful just from my own experiences and the things that happened with me. Even something that happened yesterday, I had to call my mom and sister. And I was like, y'all want to hear something freaking amazing? It's cold. Let me tell you what just happened. I was in that state right there. That's what it's talking about, that in-between state right there. That state right there is like active consciousness where you can actively, like you can like be conscious of like, so if you have prayers or anything or requests, it's that state right there that you need to get into. And that's the state they try to mimic, try to get you into without actually you having to go to sleep and then waking up and naturally going into this state. But when y'all notice, I know a lot of y'all do, we talked about it quite a few times, but now on purpose, when you're waking up, it's like the astral plane. Some people call it the astral plane, but that right there, right? You can take your prayers if you have requests to Yah or something that you need to answer to is right there, but you have to train yourself to be aware when you're at that state and not just kind of lay there, roll around, pick up your phone and all that stuff while you're still there. That state right there, that is when you should drop your prayers right into the atmosphere. drop them right into heaven, whatever you want to call it, however you want to label it. Right there is when you should ask your questions to y'all. Or you pray and get there. Meditation to get you there. There's a few different ways to get you to that state, right? There's like not just one. There's different ways people can work themselves up to get to that state. But it's at that state right there where you should ask your questions, because the answers will come back almost immediately. I kid you not. Let me share with you what happened to me yesterday. Hold on. Let me pull up my thing. Okay. The definition is, hold on. I got to pull it up real quick to give you the full definition. Okay. So I was in one of these states yesterday. I had fallen asleep. Before I cooked dinner, I was like, you know what, because my husband hadn't gotten to the house yet. The kids was quiet. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a few minutes, take about 30 minutes, and I'm going to go meditate. Okay, I see your question I gave. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to take me about 30 minutes, possibly if I can squeeze an hour, I'm going to go up here and meditate. So I went upstairs, got on my grounding mat, and I put on, I was actually thinking about all day, because I was thinking about the MerKaBa, because it was coming up, so I was doing more looking into the MerKaBa, and we're going to go back to what they explained. They talking about a balloon figure or whatever, but they essentially creating a MerKaBa around their body. So I was doing more thinking about that, wondering about different things. And then, so there are some things that I've experienced supernaturally, where we call it astral projecting, that kind of freaked me out. And so I know I can feel my body, especially when I'm laying down, I can feel it coming on, right? So I'm just like, nope. And I get up, I was like, not today. I don't feel like it right now. I'm not, right? So I'll get up just to kind of shake it off. I was like, I don't want to do it right now. Nope, not right now. It's not like nothing like I'm going to make you know, but I can feel it. It's like naturally it'll come on, like, come on, I want to show you something, right? And it's like you can begin feeling your I ain't say spirit leave your body, but that's essentially what's happening. You're going into these states of consciousness and exploring the spiritual realm, right? So me and y'all had this thing going on. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Just tell me about some other stuff. I don't want to do that right now, so because as I was learning stuff, I'm still trying to shake off all this fear and stuff that I got going on. I pretty much got that under control, because I be scary sometimes. I'm like, ooh, what? No, that's the devil. So I was like, Pam, pull yourself together. So I was like, okay. So yesterday, when I went back upstairs, I was like, you know what? With everything that I'm learning now, I was like, okay, all right, I think I'm ready for what you're trying to show me now. So I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, y'all, let's do this. I was like, okay, when you're ready, I'm ready now. I'm going to stop my foolishness. Let's go ahead and go. Whatever you want to show me, go ahead and, come pick a sister up and we can roll, right? So I was like, but the kids got to be quiet. My husband, either he going to have to be gone or he going to have to be asleep. Or I don't want nobody coming here disturbing me, which is a lot of times. I'll wait till they go to bed, or I'll do like my little all nights of prayer or studying at night when the house is quiet, just in case I want to meditate and there's like a vision or something, noise and stuff won't interrupt me, right? So y'all be up all hours of night, which sometimes is why I'm struggling to get here on time. I'm like, oh, I need to fix I'm working on my time management. But anyway, back to this. I'm gonna come back to your question I gave. Look, so I was upstairs, I was laying on my grounding mat. And so I dozed off while thinking about this, and I had already said, I'm like, all right, y'all. I was like, whenever, whatever, let's go. I'm ready, right? So what happened was I dozed off, and I was only asleep because I got like the clock right there on my nightstand. I was only asleep 3 minutes, and then, but I must have I know I had went into like a deep like meditation, because that's what I was doing. I was just breathing, and I could feel my body. You can feel, if you practice it long enough and you're paying attention to your body, you can feel when your brain waves begin to calm down. They go from beta to theta, right? And you can feel that process beginning to happen. And it's just like a calming process. And, you drift off to sleep. It's a natural thing that happens, but a lot of times we don't pay attention to it if we're not aware how our body really operates, right? So dozed off. Then Josiah comes walking into my room. My 10-year-old son, no, he 9. My 9-year-old son comes walking into the room, and he says, Mom. And it broke my state, right? But as it broke my state, I realized right there, as it broke my state, as I was waking up, because he called my name right there just for a quick moment, right? Now, here's something that's never happened to me. What normally happens to me when y'all wants me to look up a word, he'll give it to me when I'm in that state, and I'll hear it. I'll actually hear the word, which is, and I've learned to trust that because I've done a lot of research and it happens, and I realize it's helping me on something that I'm researching. Like, remember the time I told y'all I heard the word kikuyu, right? From my Kimuntu Kikuyu Star 87. I actually heard this word about 2 years ago. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's not even a word. And so I wrote it down, but I was searching for it, and I couldn't find it for like months because I was misspelling it, right? But finally, a few months later, I found it. I'm like, holy crap. So what the Kikuyu tribe is known for is kind of close to what we understand the Levites to do, right? They're the keepers of the law, of the magic, or the wisdom, right? They're like the elders within that tribe that keeps the wisdom of the tablets, the Ark of the Covenant, right? So that's when that happened. But anyway, the word that I not heard last night, this was the first time I actually saw a word. I saw a word, and it was bebbling. In that state, when I woke up, it was bebbling. Bebling. I'm like, that's not even a word. And I woke up and I answered my son's question, and I immediately went looking it up. But it's the first time I actually ever seen a word. I normally hear words to look up, but this is the very first time I actually saw one. Bebbling. I'm like, okay. So I put it in, and as I looked it up, there is only one website from what I searched looking up. It was, did you mean this, or did you mean be blind, or this? I was like, no, bebbling. There is one website that gave a definition for bebbling. And here was the definition. Now remember, before I fell asleep, I was like, all right, y'all, whatever you want to do, I'm ready. Whenever, let's go. I'm ready again. Let's do this. Right? So I pulled this up. Bebbling. Hold on. Can I pull it up in here? Oh, man. I put it in my notes. Oh, hold on, y'all. Facebook, hold on 1 second. Hold on. I'm going to put it up. Hold on. I'm going to bring it back. 1 second. Hold on, y'all. Oh, I got to share it with y'all. Okay, so the definition of bebbling was trustworthy, travel lover, capable. And I'm like, let's go. That was like a direct answer from y'all, because I knew people call it astral projecting or astral travel or whatever. And for a moment, for a period of time, I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do it right now, So, but last night I was like, okay, y'all, let's go again. I think I've done enough research, and I'm ready, because I used to do it a lot. I just didn't call it that, but I could tell that they were different from regular dreams, or you call them out of body experiences, right? I was like, okay, let's start that popping again. So right there, right before I fell asleep, like that was my thing to y'all. Like, if you have a question, or people tell you, like, when you meditate, have an intention. Like, if there's a question or something you're trying to figure out, just like make that your intent. Like, if you're trying to figure out a problem, just kind of meditate on that problem, and it's kind of like, you can say, yeah, I'm trying to figure out the answer to this. Help me with this. However you want to state it, but that's your intention. Or while you're, if you have specific requests or prayer requests or whatever, that's your intention. You just kind of set it, get it focused on whatever it is before you enter into that time of prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it, and the answer will come. Especially if you're able, if you practice enough and you're able to go into like a deeper meditation where you can get into that state, you can almost like get your answer immediately. Every time you go to prayer, you should like never come away from prayer without answers, right? Unless it's something you're missing, and even then you will still get an answer. Okay, you're missing something, go back here. But you should still come away from your prayer time and meditation time with something. It should never just be, unless you're going in just relax, good time, that's it, I just need to rest, then that's fine. But every time you go in with questions, you should come out with your answer that time. That I know, that I understand, right? And so that happened. It was like y'all saying, okay, let's go. And so, but that just blew my mind, the word bebbling. It's only one place on the website from when I looked it up yesterday that even gave a definition for it. Everything else was like, did you mean this, or did you mean that? Like, no, specifically this. And that was the definition. I'm like, you know what? This is friggin' amazing, right? Okay. So question. So is there a way to block out anything from projecting into you for the purpose of seeing what you see? Just asking. It is. And believe it or not, people who are up to nefarious, up to shenanigans, actually know how to do that, because you really can. Here's what I do. I just kind of use like my I ain't gonna say church indoctrination. I'll just say, I'll just kind of like say a prayer, like just real simple, like, Father, keep anybody from violating me or like projecting anything into me, because I know that I could tell when it happened. I could even notice if somebody breaks the force field around my house, so to speak. Not that they broke it, but I realized, like, wait, hold on. How did you get in here? Because I'll see it. Like, I saw this woman run into my house. I'm like, first of all, how did you get past my wards? Look, you say wards, but like, oh my gosh, you're witchcraft. No, I just use that to break people's state sometimes. But how did you get past the wall of protection around my house? And I realize a lot of times people who actually are able to get through are friends, and they're seeking for protection. Because I literally saw her run in. She came, like, ran through my front door, looked at me like, oh my God, help, and ran up my stairs. And I'm like, hold on. Like, seriously, I was woke. And I literally, I was like, what in the world is going on out here? Right? So, but I realized it was something spiritual. I'm like, I don't know who that was. Like, because it's like, okay, hey, who just came in here? Like, it's some weird stuff that be happening. People like, yo, that's weird, sis. What you really be doing? Like, it's just this. I don't really talk about a lot to certain people, but it's certain things that be happening. I'm like, yo, like, I'm not controlling this. Like, things will just start happening, and I'm like, what in the world's going on? But yeah, make a long story short without me just ranting and rambling on. Yes, you can. I simply just ask y'all to put a protective barrier, like, around my place, or around my children, our business, all of that stuff. I'll just set, like, protective parameters. I just kind of, like, make it a daily thing. That's something I kind of, like, grew up doing, but now I realize when you pray that prayer, there are really barriers spiritually that go up that you can't see with your physical eyes. But if you are taken into the spiritual realm, you will see that they're there. That's why you got to be careful about what you speak out of your mouth, because you literally are creating things. And you will probably see how much of a mess you made your life because of these two things right here. And just speaking ignorantly, just saying anything you want to say out your mouth. Yo, you got to be careful. Yeah, so that's the way. That's the way I do it. You know, but there are people that know how to do this, and they kind of like prey on people who are ignorant, that don't really understand. They take advantage, and it really burns my buttons to see people taking advantage of people with this stuff. And they pull the wool over the sheep eyes so much in the church. People coming in, and some of the pastors knowing how to do this. It's crazy. Y'all talking about witchcraft. That's real witchcraft going on in the pulpits, what some of these pastors are doing. Yo, y'all, I know this won't hear. Y'all seen that pastor? Me and my husband was talking about this. We was reading this article and watching these videos. I was hollering and laughing, but then I after I was done with my shenanigans and laughing at the situation, I really got sad about it, because of how people use the spiritual things to really take advantage of people for their own nefarious, disgusting purposes. Y'all seen that pastor? And you can, what's crazy to me, it wasn't just women in his church. It was more women than men, but the men were like, when they saw the video panning around the church, when they did pan it, there were a couple men sitting in an audience or the congregation or whatever. But I'm like, these regents probably in training to do the same disgusting crap. These pastor, the assistant pastor, and the one that's putting the panties back on the women. The pastor in there brought a little tub into his church, bathing women, talking about the Lord told him that he had to wash the women himself to be clean. I'm like, what? I'm like, well, first of all, where's this at? It wasn't over here in the States. It was over in Africa somewhere, right? I hate to say that. Not that Africa's a bad place, because we've been told so many lies about Africa, right? But it just happened to happen over there. I forget exactly. I want to say it was Ghana. Anybody heard of it? Was it Ghana? One of the churches over there. I could be wrong. It could not be Ghana. It could be somewhere else. But anyway, and the women were falling for it. If you've never seen silly women, this is the definition of silly women, right? I'm like, okay, first of all y'all single, y'all, a couple y'all, where are your husbands? It's men sitting in a congregation. Y'all just sitting here watching. Pastor up here being all super spiritual and stuff, preaching this message and going on while he watching this woman. They go change their clothes, come up in the church house or whatever room this was in the town. I'm like, no, it's not. This is a joke, right? So that's why I was laughing at first through the whole. I was like, no, this is like a spoof. This got to be a spoof, but it really wasn't. And this happened recently, a few weeks ago now. And my husband was like, wait, did you see this garbage? I'm like, what? I was like, this has got to be a spoof. And we sat there and I was laughing until I realized, this was real. They weren't playing. And the women up there, they got the little, like the garden tubs or whatever, the metal aluminum ones that you like put in your garden to plant or maybe put pig slop in or something. It was one of those type of bowl bath things in there, not filled it up, but enough water. Woman come in there, she got the towel wrapped around her and get into the tub. I'm like, Lord have mercy. And the pastor sitting here, and you got the associate, whatever you want to call him, sitting right there with the pastor washing up this woman. He's sitting there like, I'm like, would you look at this? I'm like, he's not taking his eyes off this woman. The pastor sitting there, yes, and the Lord said, I'm like, the Lord said what? And I'm looking at the people in the church, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, he ain't. He lift up her arm and stuff. I'm like, Lord, he gonna wash everything? She sit down in the water, he go down. I'm like, oh my God, no, he not. I'm probably, me and my husband sitting there laughing. He was like, yeah, sister, slide your leg over. Let me get right up in there and wash that. Let me give me a little bit more soap. Yeah, right there too. Let me get. I'm like, I was watching it in complete amazement. I'm like, how did we fall so far to where we're tricked into doing things like this? And if you've never seen an example of silly women, that little clip right there, it will give you the definition of what a silly woman is, right? Like somebody should have said something. But I would have pulled that woman out. I would have. First of all, you wouldn't even found me a place like that, so you probably wouldn't even seen my shenanigans trying to turn the tables and stuff over. But it's stuff like that it keep people locked in bondage, and then you have your own people doing it to you. It's crazy. And he get done washing her, and then he pulls up a towel and stuff. Now the church can see her bare back, washing her body, and he get done washing, doing whatever he doing with her, the little potion in the water. He grabs a towel, stand up, hold it around her. And so he can see her like, all right, sister. Like, he got the towel. Come on, stand up, girl. All her stuff showing. He wraps the towel around her, going over here, let Brother Nasty lotion you down. And he over there, come on, girl, put your leg up here. And I'm sitting here, she got her leg up. He lotioning down her leg. I'm like, watch his head. Legs going all the way in there to the crevice of the thigh, just to get all the way up under there, under this. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. When you're done, go to Brother Super Nasty. He gonna put your panties back on you. I'm like, y'all, it was crazy. So you have to be careful. And I said all that because people know how to use. There is a certain type of, when you understand how to use this, there's like the certain, you call it in church, they probably say spiritual authority, but it makes you really attractive to other people. And especially if they're silly and they're unsuspecting and they're spiritually dense. That's how a lot of pastors and preachers or whatever get trapped, or not trapped. They get caught up in all kind of sexual things while they traveling in church in the pulpit, because the women are drawn to that type of like authority, so to speak, but they don't realize what's really going on. But what happens is they know that some know they know what they're doing, right? And they literally will cast spells on you simply by the certain words that they're using when they speak to you, they're literally word spells that you can just speak. And a lot of time people kind of repeat it ignorantly. I know you can tell some, it was kind of hard. Well, it used to be hard. It's easy to tell somebody who's doing it on purpose and somebody who's just doing it like ignorantly, because there's it's just certain things I learned to pick up about people who actually know what they're doing and doing it on purpose. And those are the ones you gotta watch. You gotta watch out for both of them, but those are the ones who know how to manipulate the human mind and the emotions and stuff, especially with the music in the church and all this stuff. All of this plays on the emotions and throws the energies of the body out of balance, and it bypasses the guard on watch on the left side of the brain, right? You hypnotize the guard on watch. This the hemisync thing, right? Churches are using the hemisync process. They don't call it this, they call it something else, but I can clearly tell it's the hemisync, right? They're hypnotizing your left brain. The guard that's on watch, and one's like, wait a minute, hold on, that don't sound right. Wait, cut that music off. I don't want to hear that crap. I need to hear very clearly what you're trying to say to me. No, cut the music back on, see, because you got to get the atmosphere right. You just got to feel it. No, you're trying to fool me. Cut the music off so my guard can stay alert, right? Because the guard on the left side of the brain, or the signals that's sent from the left, the right brain is just going to automatically do. There is no more further questioning from the right side of the brain. Whatever gets through the left brain, the right brain is designed to automatically assume that he has done his thorough job of screening the information that come in here, and everything that comes in here is orders from the captain. Yes, sir. Press that button. Yep. Go give all your money to the church. Boom, boom, boom. Yep. What? That's the orders. Okay. Well, hey, who are we to question? We know that you done thoroughly vetted them, not knowing that your guard on watch has possibly been hypnotized, right? And that's like the process that's happening inside the church. Our brains are being hypnotized. They're using like a reverse hemisync to bypass your friggin' common sense that would keep you from being in a position of being a silly woman or a crazy man, right? It happens on both sides. Yeah, so me personally, without being so super spiritual or terms, I would just say like a prayer of protection around my home, like I always do, our minds, my children's minds, all those things. So nobody can come in and take advantage of us. It's just a simple prayer. Whatever, it's just like, it's make it personal. Like whatever you feel, just make it personal. That's what I would say. That's how I stop it. I'm sure there's a better, more scientific explanation where you can say, but I'm just an honest prayer or whatever. Y'all, this right here, it'll work, you know, at least in my experience, as far as I know, right? So without being so super spiritual and explaining details, that's what I would say. All right. Okay. So, hey, Mr. Murphy, you coming to make a... Look, I was just telling them about that.
What?
About that article with that pastor washing up them women in church.
Don't do that to me. God, dog, if that was so... God, listen. Yeah. Man.
That's crazy.
If you cannot...
Yeah.
My thing was this, all right? It was all wrong. It was all dead wrong. But listen here, Jack. The man has some... Even if he was so spiritual in the clouds and he didn't want to come down, okay? But he came down because there's a fat woman and a skinny woman.
Oh, yeah.
He watched the fat woman different than the...
I didn't even get into that.
Oh, God. Man,
oh,
listen.
I'm like, yo, is she going to get into the tub? It's crazy, y'all.
That was
every woman in the church, I want to get in there too, Pastor. The Lord said, wait, go on, anoint me too. Okay, that's enough.
Don't bring no attention to foolishness. That's what you don't do.
I know.
You don't bring attention. Seriously, though. And that's...
I know. Let me stop.
That's something that people always do. They bring attention to things that should never be entertained. You know what I mean? Real talk. You don't entertain that. I mean, that's... Shame on the people that do it, but... It'd be funny. I ain't gonna lie. I go in the corner, I crack up laughing, but then, you get your game face on and you keep on keeping on, you know?
Okay. All right, y'all. I'm sorry. I should have never brought that up. Look.
Oh, man. Not with me. I mean, I'm the wrong person to bring something up to. I mean, come on.
All right.
Ain't the right
so
moment.
was I wrong? I was giving them a definition. We was talking about something. Giving them a definition of people taking advantage of you. Yeah. And that was like the first example that came to mind.
I mean, you let me take advantage of you?
Don't start, Mr. Murphy.
I'm very hypnosis. So, I mean, I know how to hypnotize the best. Trust me. But now I'm joking.
I let you hypnotize me. Right.
You can't say
I let my guard
You can't
on
say
the left side of my
I
brain.
broke it down.
Go ahead, go ahead. At ease, soldier, at ease.
But hey, you can't say.
Oh.
If you can tell a person what they doing, why they doing it, and a person agree with you.
Oh yeah, but still it's wrong. Even if somebody let you take advantage of them in the wrong way, you should have enough, like my mom would say, couth about yourself not to do it. Even if they wanted to do something wrong, but you should keep them from doing it.
What did you say about integrity?
What, Robert? Oh, they're gonna receive the Holy Spirit, all right. It says one where the preacher told them they had to have sex with the pastor to receive the Holy Spirit. Oh no, he was. But what did you say? He was gonna shoot Kunda Buffer up into them.
What did you say? He said Kunda Buffer. Listen, that damn chest squeaking like you still be up. Listen.
Woo! Hold on.
But what do you say about integrity though?
You gotta have it.
No. Integrity is.
Oh, real integrity is what you do when nobody's watching.
And that's the point. Yeah. You know what I mean? That people don't. Some people don't have that.
Yeah.
Because they don't want that. That'd be my main thing. You know what I mean? You gotta want certain things in life. You know what I mean? Not just because the norm is doing it, but just because. You know what I mean? You have to want that. Now, a blessed life is when what you do behind closed doors. You know what I mean? But it's never for people. But anyway.
Yeah.
But go ahead. But.
It's for our own benefit. Okay, y'all. Let me get back on track. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get off track a little bit. Charge it to the head, not the heart. Let me finish this. Where we at? An hour, 30 minutes. Let me finish this. Oh, wait. Okay. Let me finish the Hemi sync. Then it start like not numbers, but it stops with the numbers and go to the letters.
I need you to do my scalp, man.
I got you, babe. I'm almost done. Okay, let me go. Now that I done told all the different stories, let's go back through the Hemi syncs again. This is real quick. Okay, number 29. We're on page 22 or page 30. 29. Hemi sync introduced. After that, he is exposed for the first time to the Hemi sync sound frequencies and is encouraged to focus on and develop a perception of and appreciation for those feelings which accompany the synchronization of brain waves that results. Next comes the technique of progressive and systematic physical relaxation, while the Hemi-sync frequencies are expanded to include additional forms of pink and white noise designed to put the physical body at the virtual threshold of sleep, as well as to calm the left hemisphere of the mind while raising the right hemisphere to a state of heightened attentiveness. So remember right there, that's what we're talking about. I love you too, son. Hey, Elijah. That in-between state. Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, call me, man.
Come help them break up these leaves today.
Huh?
The energy, hold on. Let me go back. I lost my spot.
That's what I do to you.
Yeah, that's what you do, babe. Next comes the technique. Go ahead, babe. Next comes the technique of progressive and systematic physical relaxation, while the Hemi-sync frequencies are expanded to include additional forms of pink and white noise designed to put the physical body at the virtual threshold of sleep, as well as to calm the left hemispheres of the mind, while raising the right hemisphere to a state of heightened attentiveness. Once all of this is achieved, the participant is invited to envisage creation of an energy balloon. Remember we talked about the MerKaBa. An energy balloon comprised of an energy flow beginning at the center of the top of the head, extending down in all directions to the feet. The energy involved in this flow then proceeds up through the body and back out into the balloon pattern again. The energy balloon, which sets up a pattern very reminiscent of a cosmic egg discussed earlier, not only enhances bodily energy flow and encourages early achievement of a suitable resonant state, but it also is designed to provide protection against conscious. Auntie, listen, listen to what they say about this. It's kind of think it's gonna help with your question too. Listen, the MerKaBa. I'm definitely gonna share the stuff about the MerKaBa today. All right, the energy balloon, which sets up a pattern very reminiscent of the cosmic egg discussed earlier, not only enhances bodily energy flow and encourages early achievement of a suitable resonant state, but it is also designed to provide protection against conscious entities possessing lower energy levels, which the participant might encounter in the event that he achieves an out-of-body state. It serves a precautionary purpose in the unlikely event that the participant's first out-of-body experience involves direct projection outside the terrestrial sphere. So we've seen this in you can kind of see the movies, but there are a couple documentaries. I got to remember the name of the documentary. But with this right here, they started using they call it the energy force field or whatever, but a MerKaBa, because there were a couple different military guys who had out-of-body experiences, but wherever they projected themselves to was a place that was not so nice, right? And they actually came back with cuts and stuff on their body. I gotta find it. Like it's serious. Like I think it's somebody said, I forget who it was. I think it was somebody yesterday that said that stuff can actually happen to you. Of course it can happen to you. The spiritual realm is more real than this physical realm. And some things that happen to you there, clearly we know if we can bring stuff back from there, things can happen to you there that are manifest in your body, right? So also that's what a MerKaBa would do. But that's why I say you probably should really understand what's happening and learn a little bit before you just pull somebody's advice on how to astral project or how to have an out-of-body experience, because you might find yourself some places that you don't know how to get out of, or you may encounter something that you weren't prepared for, right? Not to discourage anybody, right? Because in the natural course of your spiritual development, out-of-body experiences will happen, and they will happen in a natural way, and you will never find yourself in a situation like that. I'll say you will never find yourself in a situation that you aren't prepared for. If you're taking a natural route, spiritually growing, and you're beginning to experience these things, right? Whatever, if you let it happen naturally, things that you encounter, even if they're not so nice situations, which is something you probably should be learning from you, there's some wisdom there for you, you're able to handle it. It helps to grow you up another level, right? But I gotta find it. But this was blowing these guys' mind, and some of them it was really because they were doing this in an unholistic way, going through the military's route of doing this, and by astral projecting, having out of body experiences for what the military was trying to do, it was freaking them out, and some of them couldn't handle it, right? And they're forbidden to talk about it if they're still alive. Okay. I'm sorry. No, what am I doing? I went too far. Okay, 30, which is the last number in this section before it starts the letters. Number 30 is advanced techniques. Having reached focus 10, the participant is now ready to endeavor to achieve a state of sufficiently expanded awareness to begin actually interacting with dimensions beyond those associated with his experience of physical reality. This state is called Focus 12 and involves conscious efforts on his part, while additional forms of pink and white noise enter the sound stream being directed into his ears from the gateway tape. Once the participant has achieved this state of greatly expanded awareness, he is ready to begin employing a series of specific techniques or tools, as the Monroe Institute characterizes them, which enable him to manipulate his newly found expanded awareness to obtain practical, useful feedback of value for promoting self-discovery and personal growth. The specific techniques involved are described individually below. Y'all want to go through these? Because this is good. This is really good, right? Because I just kind of talked about it a little bit. You can use this in a natural, holistic way to help yourself grow. You got questions that are stomping you here, whether it's on your job or issues with your home. How do I solve this? We keep running into this issue and we just don't know what to do. If you practice meditation, you can go right in there and get the answers to help you grow, to help you solve problems. Y'all want to read through some more? Or should I just save it for tomorrow? We'll pause right here. Y'all let me know. And if we do, we'll read through it. Let me see. How many? Oh, this is all a part of number 30. Then it goes to 31. Should we read them? Y'all want to read them? Yes. Yes. Anybody? Bueller. First person gets it. We're at an hour 40 minutes. Y'all let me know. Yeah, that's enough for today. Or read through some of these things you can do. Bueller. Anybody? Yes? No? I'm letting y'all choose today. Yes? No? 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 Pause right here. No answers? No? If nobody says yes, I'm going to pause it here for today. End it for today? Yes? Okay. Because I really wanted to read it. But I didn't want to hold y'all. But I know it's Saturday and everybody at home. Okay. Here's some of the things you can do. Okay. Number 1, or A, problem solving. The specific techniques involved are described individually below. A, problem solving. This technique involves identifying fundamental problems which the individual wishes to see solved, filling his expanded awareness with his perception of these problems, and then projecting them out into the universe. In this way, the individual enlists the assistance of what Monroe Institute calls his higher self. In other words, his expanded consciousness, to interact with the universal hologram to obtain the information required to solve the problem. Right? Like I was telling you earlier, just, can I see the comments? I can't see comments on YouTube. Are y'all making more comments? Somebody say something. The last one I see is one, hold on. It says, yes. By Kikuyu. Hold on. Oh, hold on. I didn't. They just popped in. I guess there was a lag. Okay. Everybody was saying yes, keep going. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, it's people that came in. I couldn't even see nobody comment. Yes, shalom. Overstanding 777. See me. Hold on. Obedient to Yah. Hold on. Okay. I'm just seeing some of the comments y'all made who was talking about the past in the bathtub. Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Thanks, Shayla, because I couldn't. I don't know what was happening. It was frozen. Okay. All right. Okay. I just start over. Problem solving. This technique involves identifying fundamental problems with which the individual wishes to see solved, filling his expanded awareness with his perception of these problems, and then projecting them out into the universe. In this way, the individual enlists the assistance of what Monroe Institute calls his higher self, in other words, his expanded consciousness, to interact with the universal hologram to obtain the information required to solve the problem. This approach may be used to solve personal difficulties, technical problems in the realms of physics, mathematics, etc., practical administrative problems, and so on. And also, when we get over here, because he tested a lot of what we're reading at the CIA, which is why we're reading this before we start this. So you won't just see, oh, it's just one lone scientist. How can we back this up? I'm glad before we actually started reading this, we came across this document so they can show you real life tests and things that was happening. He's a nuclear physicist, and he's going to share some different instances about some of the problems he was having with his work. And he simply just went home. Well, when he got off of work, he went home and did meditation for about 20 minutes. He got so good because he did it so often that he figured out a way how to get into a meditative state even with his eyes open. Even when he's at work, he just need to take a couple minutes so he can get it done right there. If it was a pressing problem, he practiced meditation so much, and he interacted with it so much that he really refined himself to where he didn't have to wait till he got home to meditate to get answers to some of the pressing problems that they needed to have solved at work for projects that they were working on. Right? It's some awesome stories in there. Some of the things that even with his child, some of the things that he was teaching his child. Children can do this naturally. If we're unaware, children be astral projecting all the time. Right? And sometimes they come tell us stuff and we think, oh, yeah, nice dream. No, I'm telling you. But they will actually naturally, it happens to children having out-of-body experiences and stuff. And a lot of times we don't really be paying attention or we ignore them. But it really be happening to them. Right? We just kind of grown dumb through the years and bogged down with a bunch of garbage. And we can't even recognize what's happening. Okay. So he's going to give some more details and show you how that works, right? And clearly, if you practice it, we know it works. I know it works, right? So that's why I'm like, y'all got it. If y'all don't know this information, y'all have to hear this. Okay. This is the type of stuff that should be taught to people in church, right? Let's get on with the getting on. This approach may be used to solve personal difficulties, technical problems in the realm of physics, mathematics, etc., practical administrative problems, and so on. Responses to the problem-solving techniques may be received almost immediately, but often they come based on developing intuition over the next 2 or 3 days. Frequently, the response comes in the form of a sudden, holistic perception in which the individual suddenly finds that he simply knows the answer in all of its ramifications and completely in context, sometimes without even being able to put his newly found perception into words, at least initially, right? So we know that. I know that to be true. It's like, I don't know. I just know how to do it now. This is how we need to do it. In some cases, the response may even arrive in the form of visual symbols, which the individual will see with his mind while he is in the focus 12 state, or the in-between state of consciousness when you're waking up from deep sleep to being fully awake, that in-between state. They call that the focus 12 state. And in this case, in some cases, the response may even arrive in the form of visual symbols, which the individual will see with his mind while he is in the focus 12 state, and which he will have to interpret after he returns to normal consciousness. Yeah, like when you're talking to those invisible friends. Yeah. Like seriously. Like sometimes we joke about that, but seriously, like children and their imaginary friends, they're really talking to somebody. Right? The younger ones, they're really talking to somebody. Like, and if we're aware of if we're aware of these things, when our children come out, we can kind of, they teach us now, don't encourage that kind of behavior. But by doing that, by saying don't encourage that kind of behavior, you're cutting them off spiritually from their birthright, so to speak. Like my son said, well, what is our birthright really? Right? He already knew the answer to the question. He was just trying to get me to have a conversation up here that we hadn't got to yet. So, they kind of discourage and we train them to stop that. Girl, you ain't talking about it. Go on, get out of here with that foolishness. No, those are demons. Like all this stuff, right? We are taught not to encourage them, and it just kind of puts them to sleep when they come into the world really fully awake. Right? Okay. Kikuyu. I remember as a child, I left my body and went down the street a little bit and thought, uh-oh, this is too far. Yeah, I know. Look, something let me tell you. When you first start doing it, especially when you're just trying it out, when you learn how to do it, it's like, okay, I'm going to stay inside my house, just walk around my house. And that's how it normally starts. People do things that they're comfortable with. Oh, shoot, and wake up. This really just happened, right? Because what you'll begin to see, like if you notice, you can literally go out and walk your neighborhood and you can see stuff. Depend on who live on your block, depend on what your motives are. You can peer into people's houses and see what's going on, right? Sometimes I just don't do that simply because I don't really want to know some stuff you might be. I don't want to have that in my mind unless something happened where I'm like, what is really going on, right? But you begin to practice this and you can kind of, we call those just kind of trying it out, so to speak, just to see. But yeah, people do it, and it's really quite fun once you realize that you can actually do this, right? Yah intended us, the Creator intended us to do this. That's why He made it available. But we were put to sleep, and there's all kind of guards that don't touch that. Why they taking it, using it to take advantage of you, right? That's what the Great Awakening is. That's what the Great Awakening is. Like we thought we was we Hebrews, or different groups of people have different types of awakenings. That's a level of the awakening, but the greatest awakening is realizing who you are, right? We ain't gonna get into it again, not again today. Everybody should know that by now, right? Look, and it's not, and you have to know it's true, because it's not just set for a certain group of people. Every single human being on this earth ever born, and they all can do this. Like we should start thinking about that. Jan said it's similar to when people die and see themselves in the ER and people working on them and then they come back. Absolutely. Right. And it's so much, because they be right. It's almost like, I think it's a deeper, they're not in that in-between state, but they're in a higher level of that in-between state, from actually leaving this realm permanently to transitioning into the next realm where they're going, and they can see what's happening. And for those that come back and they see, and the doctors are baffled, like, how did you see that? How did you know? Well, how did you know? I saw it and I was yelling out to you, but y'all seemed like y'all couldn't hear me, right? These things are real, people. These are real. And it shouldn't be happening it shouldn't just be happening when we're about to die. There are tools for us. Like we're not bodies. We think we're our bodies, but our bodies are the vehicles that our spirits need to operate in this realm. This realm is a school for the spirits, right? And these are the vehicles whereby we navigate this particular realm to teach us about everything about us and our Creator and who we are. Okay. Did I finish with problem solving? I be talking so much. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Let me go back up. This is the last time I'm gonna read this, y'all. She be like, I know y'all be like, she done read that thing like 15 times. But I gotta keep my train of thought going on, so I gotta read it over. All right. Problem solving. This technique involves identifying fundamental problems which the individual wishes to see solved, filling his expanded awareness with his perception of these problems, and then projecting them out into the universe. In this way, the individual enlists the assistance of what Monroe Institute calls his higher self. In other words, his expanded consciousness, to interact with the universal hologram to obtain the information required to solve the problem. This approach may be used to solve personal difficulties, technical problems in the realms of physics, mathematics, etc., practical administrative problems, and so on. Responses to the problem-solving technique may be received almost immediately, but they often come based on developing intuition over the next 2 or 3 days. Frequently, the response comes in the form of a sudden holistic perception in which the individual suddenly finds that he simply knows the answer in all of its ramifications and completely in context, sometimes without even being able to put his newly found perception into words, at least initially. In some cases, the response may even arrive in the form of visual symbols which the individual will see with his mind while he is in the focus 12 state, and which he will have to interpret after he returns to the normal In some cases, the response may even arrive in the form of visual symbols, which the individual will see with his mind while he is in the focus 12 state, and which he will have to interpret after he returns to normal consciousness. B. Patterning. This technique involves use of the consciousness to achieve desired objectives in the physical, emotional, or intellectual sphere. It involves concentration on the desired objective while in a focus 12 state, extension of the individual's perception of that objective into the whole expanded consciousness and its projection into the universe, with the intention that the desired objective is already a matter of established achievement, which is destined to be realized within the time frame specified. This particular methodology is based on a belief that the thought patterns generated by our consciousness in a state of expanded awareness create holograms which represent the situation we desire to bring about, and in doing so, establish the basis for actual realization of that goal. Once the thought-generated hologram of the sought-after objective is established in the universe, it becomes an aspect of reality which interacts with the universal hologram to bring about the desired objective, which might not, under other circumstances, ever occur. In other words, the technique of patterning recognizes the fact that since consciousness is the source of all reality, our thoughts have the power to influence the development of reality in time-space as it applies to us, if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity. However, the more complicated the objective sought and the more radically it departs from our current reality, the more time the universal hologram would need to reorient our reality sphere to accommodate our desires. So if it's something, okay, so say if you need to get the answer to something that you've like constantly been like looking at, been trying to find an answer to, you're acquainted with the terminology and the things that happen, that answer will come to your realization a lot faster than something that you really don't have a lot of understanding about, right? So it's going to take a little bit of time to reorient your conscious to truth, to understand these pieces of the puzzle when they come, right? So just like the MerKaBa, if I hadn't started looking into the MerKaBa, things that are happening, I wouldn't be able to quite explain it so well. But because I had already been kind of looking into it, I can see it now when it's being talked about and when they're explaining it, and they're calling it what did they call it? I forgot what they called it. But in their explanation of it, I knew immediately what they were talking about. Okay. In other words, the technique of patterning recognizes the fact that since consciousness is the source of all reality, our thoughts have the power to influence the development of reality in time-space as it applies to us, if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity. However, the more complicated the objective sought and the more radically it departs from our current reality, or our current reality of understanding, or our level of understanding, the more time the universal hologram would need to reorient our reality sphere to accommodate our desires. Monroe trainers caution against attempting to force the pace of this process because the individual could succeed in dislocating his existing reality with drastic consequences. C. Color breathing. The next technique is called color breathing and is designed to use the expanded awareness and highly focused attentiveness associated with the focus 12 state. Remember, the focus 12 state is that in-between state when you're waking up from sleep and you're fully conscious. That in-between state, they call it focus 12. The next technique is called color breathing and is designed to use the expanded awareness and highly focused attentiveness associated with the focus 12 state to imagine various colors in a particularly intense and vivid manner so as to use them to resonate with and in turn activate the body's own energies. One more interjection. There's a movie on Netflix called Colors, and it's about this girl who realized that she has like these superpowers going on and she doesn't know how to control them. And her mom all her life been trying to tell her, don't do this, don't do that. But come to the end of the movie, not realizing her mom completely understood what was going on, she would see colors. I think that, I'm going to share it with y'all too. I know I'll be getting y'all a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to help y'all see visuals to kind of understand it a little bit better. And I think the easiest way to do that for us right now is like movies that I've come across that you can kind of see these principles. And a lot of times, especially if you're not aware of this information, you just think it's a source of good entertainment. But I think colors will help you understand this section of what they're talking about here. Okay. Fundamentally, in terms of practical application, it is a healing technique which is designed to restore the body and to enhance its physical capabilities by balancing, revitalizing, and retuning bodily energy flows. It is predicated on the principle that the body's electromagnetic field is capable of altering its resonance pattern so as to entrain energy from the Earth's electrostatic field for its own use. The various colors envisaged in the imagination as a part of the technique cue the mind as to the frequencies and what specific amplitudes are desired in connection with this entrainment and the subsequent alterations in the body and the bodily energy flow patterns. That color has the capacity to affect the human mind. That color has the capacity to affect the human mind is well known, and the effectuality of color in certain kinds of healing is a demonstrable fact. For example, application of an intense blue... Stop.
It's intense.
Listen.
Let me get that.
The color has the capacity...
Let me touch it.
James Murphy, stop it.
Let me touch it.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. The various colors envisaged in the imagination as part of the technique cue the mind as to which frequencies and what specific amplitudes are designed in connection with this entrainment and the subsequent alterations and bodily energy flow patterns. That color has the capacity to affect the human mind is well known, and the effectuality of color in certain kinds of healing is a demonstrable fact. I mean, they can demonstrate this to you and you can see that this is true. For example, application of an intense blue light to an area of physical tumescence leads to a relatively rapid and easily observable reduction in the swelling, while red, and to the lesser extent, yellow, have quite the opposite effect. However, in the hemi-sync application of the technique, external light sources are not involved, but rather the mind is the sole agent of the healing and revitalization. Okay, where we at? Okay, it goes up to H, y'all, and so we at D. So I'm going to finish and we're going to pause at H. D, energy bar tool. Like energy bar, BAR, energy bar tool. Magic wands and enchanted scepters have been part of the folklore and occult practices of many cultures. The scepters, staffs, and maces carried by monarchs and high priests alike occur with such frequency in the history of bygone eras as to suggest that at the very least, these items are aspects of some type of archetypical symbol which the human mind seems to appreciate, perhaps quite subliminally. In any case, The energy bar tool technique involves envisaging a small, intense, pulsating dot of light, which the participant charges in his imagination with enormous energy until it is virtually pulsating. The participant then extrudes the dot into the shape of a sparkling, vibrating cylinder of energy, which he then uses to channel force from the universe to selected parts of his body for the purposes of healing and revitalization. So some people use wands or external things. Yeah, fast color. Thank you. Obedient C.I.A. That's the movie. I said colors, not colors. I think that's the gang movie.
Mom,
yes, babe.
I fold my stuff up.
Okay. Very good, baby. Fast colors. I would have figured that out. But thank you for that. Colors. Not the gang movie. Some of y'all probably thought I was talking about the gang movie. But thank you for that. Okay. E, remote viewing. In addition, the energy bar tool is used as a portal for initiating a follow-on technique called remote viewing. In this context, the participant turns his bar of energy into a whirling vortex through which he sends his imagination in search of new and illuminating insights. The apparent purposes of the symbols involved in such vortex seems to be to cue the subconscious and convey to it instructions as to what the participant wishes to do, but in terms of nonverbal symbols which the right hemisphere of the mind is capable of understanding. F, living body map. This technique provides amplification for application of the energy bar tool as a means of healing specific areas or systems of the human body. The configuration of the participant's body is imagined, and then the various major systems, such as the nervous and the circulatory systems, are envisaged in appropriate colors within the confines of the outline being held in the imagination. The energy bar tool is then applied to energizing, balancing, and healing in whatever manner the participant desires. So they will probably be imagining the colors of their chakra going up and down their body. So if you wanted to work on healing your throat chakra, you would imagine what color is the throat chakra? Blue? I think it's blue. I could be wrong. I don't have them all down yet. I think it's blue. So you would imagine you are focusing and think about your throat chakra, the area, and all the things in your body that's labeled under the throat chakra, like your vocal cords, and the ability to swallow, to speak, anything that has to do with the voice. Say if you wanted to heal that, or maybe you got like strep throat or something, or you're a singer and you then blew your voice out or something. There's a way that you can do that without like using medical drugs. You can actually use the energy within your own body. And it's during meditation. You can literally just think about it. Focus on that part of your body. Think about your throat area and everything involved with that. You can look in the medical book, A&P book, and find out everything that's in there. Or you can find a chakra chart, and it'll tell you the bodily organs that are associated with this particular chakra or this particular energy center or energy wheel within your body. Just think about that, focus on that, and think about it healing. And then you can also think about that blue light, whatever light is associated with whatever portion of your body you're trying to heal, and just imagine it radiating, and pulsating. And it goes from like a dark color, a darker color, like dirty colored lights or whatever. It shows that the energy is off or something is wrong with the body. But once you begin to learn it, you can just, if you try to heal your body with simply just energy alone, you would imagine it going from the darker color, which has all the impurities in it, and you begin to imagine it radiating and pulsating, burning out those impurities in it. And that blue light will get brighter and brighter until it's beaming almost like a transparent, clear, pretty lapis lazuli type blue. And when you get it to that point, imagine that you're healing for that, whatever that is complete. Yes, baby. Go ahead. You can pull it out. So that takes some practice. that takes some practice doing that. I haven't completely done that all the way, but that is something that I'm testing, working on, like with little small things that I possibly might have going on with me, you know. But it takes some practice. It takes meditation and quietness. Sometimes when I got 50 dozen 11 kids running around my house, sometimes it don't work. I have to do it in the house asleep, you know, and sometimes I just fall asleep. So, okay. The energy bar tool is then applied to let me go back. Hold on. Living body map. This technique provides amplification for application of the energy bar tool as a means of healing specific areas or systems of the human body. The configuration of the participant's body is imagined, and then the various major systems, such as the nervous and the circulatory systems, are envisaged in imagination. Hold on, I'm sorry. The nervous and the circulatory systems are envisaged in appropriate colors within the confines of the outline being in the... hold on. I gotta go back. There you go.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome, Tootie. The configuration of the participant's body is imagined, and then the various major systems, such as the nervous and circulatory systems, are envisioned in appropriate colors within the confines of the outline being held in the imagination. The energy bar tool is then applied to energizing, balancing, and healing in whatever manner the participant desires. In the process, the participant visualizes various streams of color energy flowing out of the tool into the organ system or area upon which the revitalizing or healing application is being made. Since colors are the result of differing wavelengths of light, which is to say energy at various frequencies, this technique operates on the assumption that as the human body is composed of energy, it can be vitalized and healed through the additive application of additional energy, provided that the energy is applied in the appropriate form. All right, y'all, we got two more, G and F. G is focus 15, travel to the past. All of the preceding techniques are conducted at the level of expanded awareness known as focus 12. However, the technique of time travel into the past involves further expansion of consciousness through the inclusion of additional levels of sound on the hemisync tapes. Some of the sound is probably merely an intensification of the basic hemisync frequencies being designed to further modify brainwave frequency and amplitude. Other aspects of the added sound patterns appear to be designed to provide subtle, almost subliminal suggestions to the mind as to what is desired by way of further expanded consciousness, so as to support the verbal suggestions and instructions also contained on the tape. Even the instructions are highly symbolic. With time, Even the instructions are highly symbolic, with time being visualized as a huge wheel in the universe with various spokes, of which gives access to a different part of the participant's past. Focus 15 is a very advanced state and is extremely difficult to achieve. Probably less than 5% of all participants in any given gateway experience actually fully achieve the Focus 15 state during the course of the approximately 7 days of training. And they are blowing their minds in 7 days of training, y'all, going through all of this. Something that's supposed to take us clearly a lifetime to grow into and develop as we become old, and then as we make our transition, we should be fully done with our school here on the earth, where we can go to the next level or go to the next school when we depart this realm. Some people need to repeat. That's a conversation for another day. Some people ain't ready for that. But some people do have to repeat the course, especially If you don't graduate, you got to repeat. I'll leave it like that. Focus 15 is a very advanced state and is extremely difficult to achieve. Probably less than 5% of all participants in any given gateway experience actually fully achieve the Focus 15 state during the course of their approximately 7 days of training. Nonetheless, Monroe Institute trainers affirm that with enough practice, eventually Focus 15 can be achieved. They also state that not only the individual's past history is available for examination by one who has achieved Focus 15, but other aspects of the past with which the individual himself has had no connection may also be accessed. Yes, Jen. Is that why Hindus speak about their next life? Yeah, and sometimes speaking about previous lives, or you will see a lot of the Hebrew community waking up and Dallas, why are you doing it? Don't do that. Pick all them blueberries up. Thank you. You hear them using terms like you'll hear people talking about communicating like with their ancestors, right? Stay with me. They're talking to their ancestors, but some of the information, or some of the people that say that, because I'm like, I don't know about all them. I just got to check into it. I'm not going to say it's not true. They could just be using some terminology that they understand today that I'm not quite understanding, that it's a boogeyman been put at the door, right? They tell us don't talk to the dead and all these things. I'm like, okay, so all those things is like red flags. So I'm like, okay, I ain't going to say it's not true. I'm like, but they're clearly getting some information that's working. So all these things I got to go into test and check or whatever. But right here when it says, they also state that not only the individual's past history is available for examination by one who has achieved Focus 15, but other aspects of the past with which the individual himself has had no connection may also be accessed. So like I said, you'll hear people say their ancestors, or they meet with their ancestors, or they got information from previous generations, or they've accessed the Akashic records. Like we mentioned yesterday, or in church, they may say, oh, they got a word of knowledge, or some people can literally, they're using their hand. You don't really have to lay your hands on anybody to do it. But if you're able to do that, they call it time travel. Some places like he just mentioned here, or Focus 15, you're able to just kind of tap into that realm and see that information. It's not, let me see. It's not hard to understand, and we clearly know, especially for people that have, well, for those who come out of church, right? And you've had instances where you go down to the altar and you may be at like a visiting a church or something where you got moved by the Spirit to go down there and get prayed and hands laid upon, and somebody that knows nothing about you, a pastor that your church you're just visiting, or whoever is there, a visiting pastor, they'll lay their hands on you. They don't even know your name, but you came down there. They're able to lay their hands on you, so to speak. Like I said, they don't even have to lay their hands on you, right? They may not understand how it works, but they know, because they spend time doing whatever it is they do in prayer and meditation, they've activated this ability. They may not be able to tell you how it works. They just may say it's a spiritual gift and Yah shows me. And some people, a lot of church people, term it that way, but it can be done. In other areas of religion or whatever, they'll term it something else. They'll call it looking into the Akashic records, where they can go back and look into your life, and you can look into your own life. You don't just have to use this gift or whatever to tell other people about stuff that they can't see. It's really for you. That gift, really, it's for you first, right? So you can get your own life in order, clean it up. Okay, why we got this issue constantly? It seems like it's following generations of my family. Well, go back and see, especially if everybody dead and you ain't got the patriarchs and the matriarchs of your family have passed on, and there's nobody to talk to, they haven't left anything written or whatever, you can access that. And it's not illegal, and it's not demonic. Like, you can literally access it. We do it in church, but we call it something else while we demify or call everybody else that's doing it tell them they practicing witchcraft when they're really not. They're doing the same thing we're doing over here. They just call it something different, right? But yeah, so that's that. They call it time travel as well. You can actually interact with those if you get good at it. From what I understand, I haven't yet. Just kind of like on the lower experience levels so far. You can interact. How not say, not necessarily interact, but you can actually see. This is a better way of saying you can see how situations played out in the past. Like you will see, like you ever watch a movie and they'll show like a flashback, or like, remember when MerKaBa, she went to Bruno's room and she saw she got the hologram and stuff. She saw the vision of what happened. She was actually able to see what he saw in his vision. You can actually tap into other people's visions and stuff for real to actually see what they saw. And she was actually able to see more detail than what he had been explaining about it, because everybody took, oh, this is horrible, this is going to happen, we don't want to hear nothing, don't give us no more prophecies, nothing, because it's always horrible. But when MerKaBa looked at it, she actually saw to the end of it. And there was actually, although she saw how the family could be destroyed, she also saw the answer for the family within that same vision. And then towards the end of the movie, when she was there with her grandma, with Abuela, at the end, remember how Abuela had a flashback of what was going on after the family's house had collapsed. They thought they didn't have anything else. They were sitting there by the river. And Abuela was just sitting back thinking over her life, and MerKaBa was actually able to tap into when her grandma Abuela was telling her about what was happening. She was actually there. She was actually seeing everything play out like it did at the beginning, but it gave us more detail of what happened. Like, you can actually do that when you get to that level and you develop spiritually. You can actually see entire scenarios, how it happened down to the T, play out before you, so you can see what happened. So even if matriarchs and patriarchs have passed away in your family and left no information for you, like, y'all, your Torah is burnt. Help us out. So a lot of stuff we get, especially when we go back to the Torah that's been rewritten billions of times, that's probably an exaggeration, but every time it was done, it was a bad game of telephone being played with the Torah. So now what really happened is not like it's not really how it was, but you can actually, when you tap into Yah, you can actually get more specific details and deeper revelations of what you would ever get by reading the written Torah. Because everything that's written, half of it was created and put in there, just like the New Testament. The Old Testament was done the same way or whatever. But it's just man trying to recreate, trying to hold on to something of what was in the past. And a lot of times that get us all chopped and screwed, and some things are off and we realize, wait a minute, that don't match up. Well, how was that? Especially when we have spiritual experiences and what we experience with the Creator completely goes against what we read in the Torah or what our Torah teachers or instructors tell us that we should be doing. But my personal experience with the Creator, it kind of goes against what you're saying. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but we're missing information somewhere, right? So, but yeah. So that's what it's talking about, how it says that they also state that not only the individual's past history is available for examination by one who has achieved Focus 15, but other aspects of the past with the individual himself has had no connection may also be accessed. So that's how I understand that. Okay, and last little section is H, and it's like a few sentences. Focus 21. The future, being able to see ahead, right? Okay. The last and most advanced of all the focus states associated with the Gateway Training Program involves movement outside of the boundaries of time-space, as in Focus 15, but with attention to discovering the future rather than the past. The individual who has achieved this state has reached a truly advanced level. In the church, they call them prophets or seers, right? They say we can see. If you don't get this together right here, this is what's going to happen here, here, here. Now, that what you saw in the future could possibly change based on your decisions today. But they call them prophets, right? Israel is very familiar with prophets, right? If you don't keep to these commands or whatever, or stop acting foolish, this is what's going to happen. What happened? The prophecies come true, right? Because we didn't change what we should have changed back here to change the outcome of that. All right. I started because it's only a few sentences. I started over. Focus 21, the future. The last and most advanced of all the focus states associated with the Gateway Training Program involves movement outside of the boundaries of time-space, as in Focus 15, but with attention to discovering the future rather than the past. The individual who has achieved this state has reached a truly advanced level. Except in unusual circumstances, it is probably not attainable except by those who have conditioned themselves through long application of meditation, or by those who have practiced long and hard thorough use of the hemi-sync tapes for a period of months, if not years. And clearly we can see that also in the lives of prophets, because they're separated from people. They spend probably out of all the ministry gifts or the ministry offices or whatever, those are the ones who probably spend more time off in secluded places, meditating and in prayer with Yah, right? So all these things, once you see it and you understand what's happening, you can see it everywhere. I'm just really familiar with the church because I came out of that faction. All right, y'all. So that's what we're going to pause at today. And that was at the end of number 30. So we'll pick this back up tomorrow with number 31, which is going into more detail about out of the body movement. So be on the lookout for some of the things, some really cool things I'm going to share with y'all about the MerKaBa today. Oh, I'm so excited about that. Be on the lookout for some of those things in the community section, and I'll post it on, in Facebook posts and stuff. And I'll also, I'm trying to make it a habit now, just in case they don't know how to use the community section. Everything that I post there for today, I'll try and post it in the comments and pin it to the top. So just be on the lookout for it, y'all. But thank y'all for hanging out with me today. Y'all, we've been here for 2.5 hours. I'm glad it's Saturday, but it's getting so good. It's getting so good. And I think this information is real live information that's been dispersed across the earth and been practiced by the government. They're releasing the tests, and all this stuff is going to help us understand. A lot of this stuff is going to help us break these religious word spells and religious doctrination that we're coming out of, not in just the church, but other sectors as well, whether they're coming out of Islam or other places. You'll find out as people really get on the path to true spirituality, whatever, you begin to run into other people who are coming out of different areas, and not just the church, right? Not just the church, but you will find out you start running into people from all different backgrounds. Those who are coming from the Buddhist faith, the Hindu faith. Yes, son. I got you. Give me 1 second. I'm almost done. They're coming from everywhere, right? We just kind of started certain places, and it's like we're making our way out of this maze. We started not different levels of the game, because I think religion is like the first level of the game here, right? If you can get out just like sperm, when they come out, it's billions of them. Russian, it's like the only the strongest survive. Like you got one winner. It's rarely two. It's rare. Not so rare. Twins. You got multiple sperm that get through or whatever, and you got twins or triplets or quadruplets, sextuplets, whatever, right? But that's kind of like life is and growth. As you get past this particular area of the game where you want to race with all these people, you find yourself in another dimension, right? And so now the sperm goes from the testicles of the man, and now it's beat out everybody else. Now you find yourself in another world, so to speak. But now you've passed from this world to the world of the woman. And now it's a whole different atmosphere. The game is a little bit different here, right? And it's just different things. It's you go from level to level. You progress in this life. When you enter this realm, you're always trying to stop. You're always trying to overcome the distractions and the adversities of this particular level before you can move to the next level, right? And then each level is different, and you begin to see, like with this, coming out of the religion and actually getting on the path to spirituality. It's like everybody from different religions, you kind of experience that shunning from your group. Oh, they done going off the deep end. Oh no, not really. I need more than what y'all giving me. I'm really in search for the Creator. Y'all look like y'all just want to play around. I really need to talk to Him, right? And so now you come into a place that it's like you're secluded for a period of time, and then you begin to move again, and then you realize you run into people from different cultures and stuff that's on the same path, and then you kind of talk to them a little bit like, oh really, oh man, and then you kind of find out some truths about some things that you learned from your previous level or your previous faction where you come from, where they kind of lied about you a little bit, and you got somebody from there that's actually giving you the truth. Oh really? But they told us to stay away from y'all because y'all was this and y'all did this and y'all worshiped the devil and y'all drunk blood and all this. That's what they was telling us. No, man, this is what they told us about y'all. So now you're kind of ironing out some of these differences and misunderstandings, and you find yourself on the road. You realize that you guys are on the road to the same place, to find the same creator, the creator of everything. Right? And you just meet different people and you begin to grow. And a lot of the things that you learned previously, you just got to kind of let those things fall away. Because if you try and hold on to a lot of those things, it's going to hinder your growth. It's going to stunt you. Right? Jen, can I share what you shared with me? You still here? Look. I'll wait till you say yeah. I want to share something she shared with me yesterday. You still here, Jen? The last email that you sent me. I'll wait for your answer. Yes. Okay. Okay. So Jen, she been with us for a little while now, right? And so she said she had started, when she first started praying in tongues. Remember we talked about tongues. Church called it praying in tongues. Other cultures call it chanting or what have you, right? But you're essentially doing the same thing. A lot of times you may some people start off with like a full fluid language. Some people may start with a syllable, couple syllables, and build up the more they practice that and they pray, right? But what's happening, it's simply a tool to focus you so you can literally tune yourself to the Creator's voice. Really, it's simply all what it is. Just a bare bones, make everything simple without getting to the details. But that's what it's doing. So she said she had started and her very first time was like 2015, right? So I guess over the years it had kind of been like sporadic or whatever. But when she had actually come upon my channel, and we had the last book we read, The Walk of the Spirit, The Walk of Power, where we was given the Christian interpretation of what it is, but the principles are still there, even though it's a bunch of Christian talk. The principles are still there, right? And they'll work. So she had been practicing it, and so she has been having, in her times of prayer in her prayer closet, she's been having like right away, having supernatural things happen with her, right? And so when she emailed me the first time telling me what happened, I'm thinking like, oh snap, this type of stuff shouldn't be happening at this level. But what she told me at the end of the email, she said, here's the kicker. I've also been adding fasting to it, which explained to me why some of the supernatural experiences she was having were happening so fast, because she added fasting to her prayer, and she was also praying in tongues and meditating, so it was happening faster, and supernatural things are happening to her while she's in her prayer closet, right? I'm like, oh snap. I'm thinking while I'm reading her, I love to read her emails. So this most recent one she sent, she thought that there was a problem. And so as I was reading it, I knew exactly what she was talking about. And a lot of us that come out of the church and we transition over into the Hebrew roots, and as we start working through this whole thing about the name of Jesus and what his name really is and how we should pray and whether we should pray the three, while we're going through this process, we're also looking at the Bible a little bit different. Okay, well, maybe we're just going to put away the New Testament and we're just going to read through the Torah. But then it comes to a point where you're reading the Torah. If you're reading the Torah along with, here's the key, along with actual praying, meditation, and praying in tongues, if you're doing all those things simultaneously, your growth is going to happen a whole lot faster than what it would for people who's just simply maybe just reading the Torah and sporadically praying and just do a morning prayer. Thank Father, whatever. Let me have a good day. I see you this evening when I'm about to go to bed. If you're doing more than that, your spiritual life tends to progress a whole lot faster and supernatural things begin to happen. So what began to happen to her was while reading through Torah, reading through scriptures or whatever, what she was experiencing in her prayer closet, in her prayer time, and experiencing the Most High talking to her and showing her things and actually having physical manifestation of things happening to her. She said when she come back to reading the scriptures, she said it's almost like there's a disconnect. And disconnect meaning, her definition of disconnect is it seems like what I'm experiencing in my prayer time is different from just reading, right? And I knew exactly what she was talking about because I remember a few years ago, me and my sisters, because we kind of like did it together, we was going through this, and then it was like, oh man, there's like what is happening? Are we doing something wrong? It's like when we come back here, we know what we're experiencing here, we're putting it into practice. It's like the word becomes alive on the inside of you when you actually begin to practice it, to when you go back, now it seems just like stories. Now the stories they're amazing. They're good for what they were designed for. It's a guide. Just like parents are given to you when you come into the world. Yes, baby.
Sorry, just throw my blueberries out my bowl.
Josiah.
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
First of all, don't touch her blueberries. And if you took them and you threw them on the floor. Okay, well, get the blueberries up off my floor. So, what begins to happen is your experience becomes a little more rich, and it's like, man, it's like I'm coming back here. It's like, where's all this? And you begin to feel like, okay, is something wrong? Am I being?
You're not.
Josiah.
Drop them. I was just minding my
Do me a favor. Go tell your dad about this. So it seemed like there's this disconnect, and you pump the brakes real quick. Like, wait a minute. Okay. So I'm feeling a type of way. Towards the Bible because it seemed like it's like holding you in the type of bondage. And then it's like you feeling a type of way. It's like, oh, okay, is this right? But I know you're real. I'm feeling this. It's like coming alive. But it's like, okay, let me find this in the Bible. Yes. Okay, calm down, Sudie. We'll handle this in a minute because I'm about to end this video. I'll call you back in here in a second. And you're trying to understand what's happening, right? It's like, okay, like I know Torah. We stick with Torah. Torah has helped me all this time, right? And it's like, oh, okay, but I know this is real. What is happening? And it seems like it's a disconnect, and it causes you to pause, right? And you should, right? At least you should recognize, you should notice that it's there. Some people be like, okay, well, this must be wrong. Let me go back to reading the Torah. Not that you shouldn't read the Torah. Get what I'm saying? Stay with me. Not that you shouldn't read the Torah, because you should. It's a good guide to help you along the path in your spiritual walk to get back to the Creator. It's like a guide, somebody holding your hand until you can see the road that you're supposed to walk. When you can see the road, you've made eye contact, communication with the Creator. You don't need me anymore. I'm going to go back and help the next one. You should go walking on with the Creator. You'll even see it, and although a lot of times I'll be talking about the New Testament shenanigans, you can read in 1 John where it talks about you don't have need of any man to teach you anything, but the Spirit that the Spirit that resides in you will lead you and guide you in all truth. The Spirit of Yah will lead you and guide you if you will allow Him. But a lot of times we like to take Him and put Him back in the box. Okay, show me, Yah. show me here. And he will show you a lot of things. There are, at least from my understanding, my experience, because I'm just like double checking everything. I ain't trying to get off. Okay, did clearly I should be able to see this somewhere in Torah, and he'll show me right somewhere. And I was like, oh snap, okay, I see that, you know. So and then it'll comfort me a little bit longer. But what's happening is when you feel that like you're going through that phase trying to figure it out, Yah is really trying to take you to another level, because the Torah is trying to tell you about you have finite man writing about a creator who can't be contained, and we're trying to contain him in these few pages of the book and be like, everything you're gonna need is from here. I don't think everything you need you're gonna get it from there. It is a guide to help you get to him. And then he is the true living word. He is the true living Torah. He is the true manifestation. He wants to connect to you. It's like, I want to show you more than that's just in there. Everything about our creator we will not find in the pages of the book, right? I love it. I still read it daily. That's why I keep reading it every day. And I do believe it's a requirement, yay, Seth, right? But for those of us that grow, we know that we can go directly to source and we get those downloads, right? It's just levels of growth where you're at, right? So I was telling her, I said, don't be discouraged. I said, that's what that is. And when me and my sister realized, I was like, oh, okay. She was like, well, let's just grow and go. Right. You know, but I think Torah, I keep Torah and I continue to read Torah before we do anything else, just to make sure we understand the rules of the game, so to speak. So we know how to catch ourselves if we seem to be getting off. It's a guide where we can go back and check just to make sure we're still trekking on the right path, right? It's just like the rules, right? Parents give a Torah in their house. You got rules. When you're a certain age, you're not to do this. Like I said the other day, you can't cook on my stove. Why? You're too young, right? Or some people don't say it because I said so, right? Just don't do it, right? But they have reasons why they tell you not to do certain things. But as you get older, you'll realize that although those rules are still there and they apply to the younger children, you become of age now and you get a little bit more freedom. Not that you no longer have to follow the rules or the rules of safety while cooking, because you do. Now you just don't need the taskmaster, the school teacher, the warden standing over you saying no, because you're immature, you're still ignorant of the latter principles of what could happen with the stove. You could burn yourself, you could smoke the house out, cause everybody to die of smoke inhalation. You could burn the house down, not only our house, but you could kill the neighbors too, because if it's catch on fire, what if it's late at night, you know, and then everybody's sleeping, nobody here there. What if everybody's sleeping deep that night? Now you can kill the whole block of people, right? So there are certain, and that's what the Torah is, there are certain restrictions and requirements until we become of age and we can walk freely with the Creator. Because when we get to that point where we can walk freely with the Creator, we're not going to violate those rules anyway. So it's not like we're doing away with the Torah. Torah is in us. We would never violate Torah, but we don't have to be held on a leash, so to speak, like younger ones do that haven't understood, that are just kind of coming in learning about things. We know how not to violate rules, right? So that's essentially what's going on. And a lot of time when people get there, it's like, oh man, okay. Well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this because this, but it's like Yah's trying to call you to a deeper level of communication with him. It's like, okay, right here. And you can do that. Like, you can really do that. You can pray in tongues and you can read the Bible, and it will expand your knowledge of Scripture. I see, fool. It will expand your knowledge of Scripture, which is why it took me so long, because I was like, yep, you're going to give me, just get right to me right here through Torah, right? But I find myself back at that place again. It's like, okay, there we can expand it. You know, you want to stay in Torah, because I'm staying right in Torah. I'm that one. Okay, show it to me. Well, okay, let me see it in Torah, though. Right? And I ain't talking to nobody else. I'm talking to y'all. Like, look here, hard-headed girl. I was like, okay, so help me. It's like it's in you. Like when you've just grown in love, Like, you're just not going to do anything to violate the Creator's commands. And you're not going to violate other people because love is being developed in you and you move out of love anyway. So at this point, that's the best way I can explain it, right? So make sure y'all truly understand my heart when I'm talking about this. We're never discounting Torah. It is our guide. It's our mom and our daddy, right? We're never dishonoring. No, it cannot be your whole thing. We're never going to dishonor, disrespect our parents, right? And Torah is our parents, like a parent to us, right?
Yeah.
It's 2022. We don't have time for shenanigans.
That's
Not
my key to go
shenanigans.
ahead and end this. Because we almost.
We don't have time for shenanigans.
2:44, guys. We gotta go.
I'm about to
That's
say,
probably.
you've been on this thing for 3 hours.
I know. Okay, yeah, he come back down. Okay, we gotta go. We gotta go.
gotta
All right,
do
so
Hey, you got ice cream
I
out
love
at
y'all.
10 o'clock in the morning?
let's go ahead and do this blessing.
You'll
We'll
never
pick
skip
this back. We'll pick this back up tomorrow.
Depending on
Right?
nobody
We
that
gotta.
ice cream out every morning. I know it's gonna be you. You don't never fail me.
She thinks she's supposed to start her day with ice cream.
Hey,
That's why I'm be getting it. Mom, she just said, "Can I have this whole thing for me?" I
No,
said,
not
"No."
the
She want to eat the whole thing and
what
share her
happened
ice
to the
cream.
other ice cream we had? We had two. I bought 2 gallons.
Her and her brethren.
Oh yeah.
Did you have
All
some
her
too?
brethren. Oh, I ain't eating none of the ice cream.
You ain't gotta look like that. Like you don't eat ice cream. What you do? Quit playing with people,
I
man.
eat ice cream, but I ain't eating none of that ice
What you
cream
telling people
lately.
online, man? You better stop.
You know
Hey,
it.
guess what?
Do I be lying to people? My husband, no, come in the camera.
You be eating
Come in the
meat
camera.
on the low.
Oh, that's
Guess what?
that's a lie.
Dad, guess what? You make sense.
Y'all probably be able to tell in like my face if I ever decide to eat flesh again. Like if I can't. Now my husband,
What?
I'm gonna be nice. He's still on the path of transitioning to a more holistic lifestyle. I'm gonna be nice.
We don't
I was
have
gonna
time
say.
for shenanigans. Nah. Nah.
I was gonna say something else. I'm gonna leave you alone today, although you
I
be
am the
messing
meat.
with me.
I am the meat.
With that being said, let's
Hey,
go
hey,
ahead
trust.
and end
she's
this
popping around, Mom. You need an ice cream scoop or
before
not?
he get into stuff that should only be in the
You need
a
ice
marriage
cream, go get an
live.
ice cream scoop.
All right, beautiful people.
If
It
you
is-
can't talk, never mind. I keep that comment to myself.
Some stuff, if there's children present, we can't really talk about for real. Okay, y'all. It is Saturday, January 15, 2022. Day number 5 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. We read Genesis 13 through 15. And we read some more of the C.I.A. document. Oh, and of the 4-year consecutive day count is day 1023. We've been here 1023 days, with the exception of the Sabbath days and that week that I had to take off. All right, beautiful people. But other than that, so we're going to go ahead and do the blessing. And I'm going to share that stuff with y'all shortly.
Where's the other one at? I want
Everything I said, the stuff on the MerKaBa, that video that Yaki did where you can see it. In his video, the pyramid structure with the lines, but it's representing the MerKaBa. You'll understand. If you don't understand what the MerKaBa is, or if you got like little teaching to understand what the MerKaBa is, you're gonna really understand it after I post a couple things. I got a couple resources from other people that I thought were really good that explained it and showed visuals of what it is.
That's enough.
And the video that I told you about from the guy, Billy, that's his name, Billy Carson. Billy Carson, he did a really, really good, it was interesting. It kept my attention from the beginning because he shared some of the things when he went over into Africa and looking at the pyramids and all that stuff. It kept my attention all the way through. It's a little over an hour. It's like an hour, 10 minutes maybe. But inside of it, it's also that video that I talked about with Dr. Science, that animation, when we was talking about that particular portion when we first started reading the C.I.A. document. So all of that stuff will be in there. Just give me a little bit and I'll have it posted. All right, so we'll go ahead and do the blessing. Tootie, you want to get up here and do the blessing?
Water in here. You just put the water to put on the scooper to heat it up a little bit. That's all.
Yes, babe.
You tell Daddy that you have to scoop ice cream and put water in it.
That's all you gonna get.
Oh, she trying to, looking at what Josh do. He get a cup of hot water so he can dip the spoon in it after every scoop so he can scoop it better.
She got it right here. That's
She probably don't know what it's for. She just saw Josh doing it and she just
No,
do
that's
it.
what she said, though. She said, put it in there.
Yeah.
Like, put it in the ice cream. I said, no,
She can't tell you why she just following what Josh did.
You can't put it in the ice cream. Man. That don't work.
Sisson got her little cup of ice cream and she left out of here. Girl, you can come do this blessing? Or you want, okay.
I don't care about no blessing after ice cream. Bless is ice cream, that's what she think. Sherbet is the best ice cream ever. Like, real talk. If you don't get sherbet, I mean, I think something wrong with your life. Like, you know, if you just something wrong with you.
Okay.
Black folk grew up off of sherbet. Like, sherbet was the thing back in the day.
I mean, I kind of, Neapolitan was the thing at my house. And I would be mad. They go in and eat up all the chocolate.
But this is the problem what people don't understand. When you was poor, all you ate was Neapolitan. It was cheap. Sherbet was the more expensive brand of stuff.
So you trying to say I grew up poor? Let's go ahead and do this blessing. I got some words.
When I here for the shenanigans.
And my mama here. You hear him, Mom?
Hey, man, everybody grew up struggling. Everybody had roaches. Everybody grew up eating frosted. Cornflakes, powdered milk, government cheese.
Everybody didn't grow up. Everybody didn't grow up like that. Everybody didn't grow up like that.
You tell me one person coming up that didn't have government cheese. You ever seen government cheese?
The government, they was handing it out, taking out.
Did you ever see it? Like a big block. You ever see that block?
Yeah, the powdered milk.
You seen that? You was poor.
How do you know about it?
I seen it. I grew up poor. What do you mean?
But y'all had enough. Y'all had enough money to get the sherbet though.
Wait a minute, Jack. Nah, I'm sorry. My mom ain't never worked. But anyway, we still grew up struggling. My mama used to get jobs for us. She gonna fill out the application and name me.
Queen B. She handling everything from the hive. Oh, job. Yeah, get it to my son. They gonna work. I'm handling all the paperwork. You supposed to be at work at 9 today. Like I be doing your mind. Hey, you know what time it is?
Yo, ain't that some gangsters? Thinking about it, you know, I never thought about it from that way. Yeah.
Okay.
But ain't that, see, they always say, you know, if you ever, you know, you meet, they always say this then. This is real talk. If you ever want to wonder what your woman gonna be, look at their mama.
So what you see when you see my mama? And she live too.
Hold on, wait a minute. I wasn't saying nothing about that. I was going to this direction.
Okay.
I was about to say about, dang, I just forgot. I just lost it because I was talking about
Mom.
mamas. But I think that's what you be kind of trying to do to us over here. You be trying to pimp us like my mama pimp.
I don't.
I think you be like, you know what I mean? What y'all gotta do today? Like,
well,
you trying
first
to
of
kick us
all,
out
because
the house, I have to go do something.
No, see,
like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm the boss. I'm the boss around here. You know what
but
I mean?
I handle administrative stuff, don't I? And don't I need that information?
I tell you about what to handle and how and what direction we go around this place.
Right. So when you're moving slow, okay,
if I don't give you
this
nothing
information.
to do, then you have nothing to administrate. Right? Right. As we know this.
Okay,
anyway.
Mr. Murphy. Yes.
But I think you be trying to pimp us over here sometimes. But I gotta catch you. You know what I mean? Like, hold on, wait a minute, Jack.
Because
like you trying,
but no, I'll be trying to pimp y'all. I just be make sure y'all stay on top of y'all game.
I understand.
Babe, this meeting here. What time y'all gonna be there?
With the pimping, you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's not how we orchestrate. But
okay.
But thought about it when I told you about my mom. That was kind of fun. But anyway, yeah,
No, seriously. I handle the administrative and contract paperwork and stuff. So if somebody's late or somebody don't show up or something happened, I get the phone call or the email. So then I gotta go to the boss. Hey, what y'all doing? Y'all destroyed what? We gotta pay what for that table? They taking this out our check? Damage report? $2,000 for a screw ran through a table. He did what? Yeah, so I'm just trying to stay on top of the paperwork.
But that
we can go ahead and end this.
But we get it back though.
We do. We get it back.
I get it back one way or the other. No matter if the people just be like, "I'm gonna throw you this," I still get it back. So,
Mom, we want this.
All right, y'all.
Anyway.
That's it. Let's go ahead and do this blessing too. All right, blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying on this wise, He shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order,
Yes,
and
he
he will
will.
provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Love y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Saturday with all our shenanigans. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow, bright and early, 7:30 a.m. Eastern
Wait a
Standard
minute.
Time.
You said you cut your finger? Watch how she cut her finger.
Messing with my strainer, trying to play with her. See that little strainer right there? I was using with my juice to.
Oh, yeah. How she
The
cut her finger on that?
because it's a little wire out the side of it that I use it to strain the pulp when I
I thought she did it
juice.
with the knife, yo.
No,
said,
and she
nah.
cut it, and she had a fit,
Listen, Jack, she said
a
I
little
was bleeding.
poke. She was.
She said I was bleeding.
You just.
She said she was looking at it like, oh my
She was
God, I
fine
can't believe
till she saw the blood. When she saw the blood, she just started screaming. I'm like, girl. She was like, ah, like she was screaming, literally screaming bloody murder when she saw the blood. I said, girl, if you don't stop it,
She's
put
a
your
girly
hand under
girl.
there.
I mean, that's just
She
what
stopped
she
when
do.
look.